Go. And we are live in the GNARCAST studio with Ethan and Robbie. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Man. Gotta get you to get a little closer to them microphones.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can actually. I'm very much hear you now.
Yeah.
So you know, somewhere in between. Always good to knock that out right out the gate.
Yeah. Sorry, man.
No, you're good, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
Someone said there was free beer, so.
I did give you one free beer. That was probably the obligatory one free beer. Got Scot Ripple in the house.
What's up? What's up, dude? Thanks you guys for coming.
Yeah, I got to do one audio thing real quick. Give me a moment, guys. It's gonna get weird for a second. There we go. You know what? It's when the voice gets sexy. That's
right.
That's how you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're ready. Are you seducing me?
Yes, that was half of my goal today. So
All right.
So we're halfway
I think
there.
We're all sounding pretty solid now.
But yeah, so I think the biggest reason that we had you guys here, aside from your striking good looks,
Mm-hmm.
would be your work at Trailblazers. So me and Scott, we tried to do some pitiful research prior to this.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not claiming that we're librarians or scholars of sorts.
No.
I think you can be a researcher as a job.
Sure. I think it's
100%.
important to kind of do a little bit of homework.
Well,
on who you're messing with.
what'd you find out? Good, bad, and different.
Hopefully it's not my criminal record.
I found out some things.
You found out some things.
Yeah. They're not appropriate for the podcast. You know,
We can't talk about those
That
things.
was a prior job. Okay.
That's
where I'll
Yeah, so when we Googled you guys, some unsavory things showed up.
You could say right now.
Or they were
though,
savory.
that we have the dirtiest jobs.
You do, yeah,
That's
out
true.
there. That's right.
Very dirty jobs.
Dirty jobs.
Yeah, weekly deposits of $500 in ones.
Trailblazers is like, we don't pay them in ones.
We don't even give them cash.
Actually, yeah, we should dispel that. They don't get paid. This is all volunteer work.
On a side note, I'm wondering if you can Venmo strippers now. I don't know.
You know,
Probably.
you probably could. I bet you could. Yeah.
What's your Venmo?
I
What's your
imagine
Venmo?
they're with the times.
You know,
They probably have like a tattooed QR code like
Yeah.
on her leg or
This
something.
is
Oh.
Candy, and her QR code's on your table. You're like,
because
$1,
she's like naked, and it's like, well, actually, like
That's
she's, yeah.
just smart business.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Or we are onto something.
Or it's the fact that we know it is like,
Yeah.
so you guys know about the QR codes?
Oh, no.
Right.
Busted.
Busted.
Don't tell my wife.
Don't
I'm
tell
not
my wife I
gonna
know
pay.
about the
And
QR
don't
codes.
tell my wife I know about the QR codes.
I think we all got somebody we're not supposed to tell.
Oh, good stuff.
Oh, cool. 2 minutes in, we're self-incriminating.
Yeah.
Perfect.
If GNARCAST does one thing, it exposes things.
Yeah, if we go a little further, I might have to sleep on that couch behind you.
But yeah, so Trailblazers, you guys, tell me your positions at Trailblazers more specifically. I know you guys work at Trailblazers.
Yeah, so for me, I'm one of the foremen, I guess you would call it there.
Okay.
I run a crew, kind of focus on the flow trail side of things.
Okay.
With that.
Is there different trail departments?
We have crews that kind of lean more towards certain projects, I would say. We all kind of dabble in everything.
Okay.
'Cause, I mean, we have to. There's
Yeah.
only, 12 of us, 13 of us. But typically, I'm on the flow trail side of things doing some stuff, so.
Okay. And
I'm the director of construction and maintenance.
Okay.
So I kind of, my position is to delegate and take in work from all sorts of different sources, basically. Trail adoption program adopters giving us trees down, telling us there's a section that's in disrepair beyond their capacity,
Mm-hmm.
keeping track of and delegating flow trail maintenance, And then working on future projects with the soft surface project managers, which are Uriah and Hogan. So
Okay.
we all work kind of in this fluid system where we all have to take a lot of different hats and wear them.
Okay.
But yeah, so I am in control of the trail side, and Robbie's one of my lead operators and foreman. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique with the Trailblazers talking on how we kind of wear different hats.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with like, I think most trail companies, like, if you have an operator, that operator stays in the machine.
That's what they do
the whole time. That's
Oh,
what
right.
they
They're
do.
just an operator.
But like
yeah.
with us, like, I mean, we're out. I mean, it wouldn't be anything if him or I were out slapping lips or raking a trail or
Mhm.
blowing
Yeah.
leaves or whatever. You know, we kind of do the whole thing. So
Well, that was one thing that Scott and I were talking about before, is that the probably like the public may look at Trailblazers and think from like a visual, you know, first visual is like it's just another trail company, like trail builders,
Yeah.
possibly even like just being trail builders, but
Right.
but you Trailblazers is a lot more than that.
Oh yeah, and in fact, like our primary focus is maintenance.
Right. Right.
Our secondary focus would be to improve trails.
So
that
not
are-
building trails, maintaining trails.
Yeah. So our first is to maintain. Our second would be to improve what we have.
Right.
And our third, our tertiary, would be to build new.
Right.
So it's really not our focus is to be new trail builders, but rather we have this lovely lens of hindsight, and we get to objectively look at trails that were built and say, hey, does this work?
Yeah, here's
Fundamentally.
what was here's what didn't function well.
Exactly. If no,
here's
how
what
do
we can build
improve it?
upon. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
that's interesting.
And I kind of see that a lot, like, you know, some new trails in Slaughter Pen go up, and then maybe a few months later
Yeah.
it gets reworked.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm thinking, because maybe that didn't work out as planned,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
got to make some adjustments.
Well, you got to think, Arkansas is specifically our terrain in Arkansas is very unique.
Mhm.
It's not very steep, even when we have grade.
Mhm.
And so building flow trails is really challenging, even though our grade does suit it well. You have to be really dialed in on how you manage the length versus how steep you make the trail.
Right.
And that's a really fine balancing act when you can't just like dump grade to speed a trail up.
Right.
You know, like at the castle, if you wanted it to go a lot faster, you'd have to go down the hill.
Straight down.
But you're pinned in between other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, like the side slope of the hill here is not like a mountain. It's a hill.
Mhm.
So it goes gradual, steep.
Drop. Yeah.
And so we have to manage that, especially when you're building big, wide jump trails. How do you make that work efficiently? And specifically, how do you make it work so the rider who is riding it for the first time can ride that trail and instinctually know how the flow works on the trail?
Mhm.
And you do that with managing that grade.
Mm-hmm.
In the mountains, it's I'm not going to say it's easier, but it's different. You know, if you have a trail and you put a big grade reversal into a trail and you slow them way down,
Mhm.
right? Well, then you can just kind of go back down the mountain because it's steep. The side slope of the hill is relatively steep. We don't always have that option here.
Right.
So sometimes we'll notice that a builder from out of state, from somewhere else, they come here and they flag a trail and they stick maybe exactly to what their flag line is, and they maybe stay true to a certain percentage of grade. But that grade doesn't work the same in a corner as it does in a straight piece of trail.
Mhm.
And so what we oftentimes find is that a trail feels too slow in certain spots.
Mhm.
And we've gotten really good at identifying where that trail has those problems, and we know how to fix them.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
that's kind of the objective lens that I talk about, is how do we make this trail work from the first time you ride it. Maybe you don't clear all the jumps, but the speed's there,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that way you don't have to guess coming down
Mhm.
the trail. You know,
Well, I think another thing you said was hindsight, was
Yeah.
that you get to come in after the fact.
100%.
Whereas, you know, a lot of people will drop something down, or maybe even like cut in an entire line, and then after it's all done, like, that wasn't as great as I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be. I don't know that they say that,
100%.
but I imagine they
We
would.
also work for a nonprofit. So
Sure.
I'm not indicating that we don't work hard,
Mm-hmm.
but we also don't have the brutal deadlines and profits to be made at the end of the day.
Right.
And so if we ride something like, wow, that's a real piece of crap.
Sure.
You know, I'm going to tell my builder, I'm like, hey, that's a piece of crap.
Sure.
And then we're going to change it. But we're going to talk about why it didn't work, and we're going to learn, and we're going to grow from it every time.
Yeah. No, that's important.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a team of engineers or anything, or is it just you guys going out there, or do you go out there, gather analytics? You know, my son's a civil engineer, and he does like waterworks for new developments and stuff, so he has to do soil testing and all this stuff so they can do the digs right and stuff like that. Is there some kind of level of that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is...
Is it engineered or is it not?
Yeah.
So the short answer is no.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to soft surface stuff.
Mhm.
When it comes to greenway projects, hard surface projects, you know, which are all the connections between the towns and the neighborhoods and thereof, those all go through an engineering firm because they're part of the infrastructure of the city.
Okay.
However, in mountain biking, you know, mountain biking's not old, especially mountain biking in terms of like mountain bike paid for parks.
Mm-hmm.
And Bentonville is because we work in Bentonville, I'm going to reference Bentonville a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Bentonville operates like effectively like a bike park.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Especially Slaughter Pen and Kohler. And by that I mean a paid for bike park where you're pedaling up to the top and then coming back down as a downhill experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those trails don't have any sort of guidelines. Interestingly enough, we are developing right now with Northwest Arkansas Community College a curriculum that actually explains just some rough outlines for what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
And so we're on the absolutely just like breaking edge of this. There's a lot of companies that have figured it out there. There's some companies that have figured it out there. Actually, I would say a lot. There's some companies, but that's their information at this point. And we like trails everywhere to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I want, at the end of this, like, because this is connected to a school, we want to teach people how to do this in a repeatable fashion.
Yeah.
So the stuff that we have learned boils down to grades and how to manage water. Those are the two things. That's really it. If you know how to manage those two things correctly, you can work in harmony with the woods and you can build a really sick trail. And that's
actually one of the big hang-ups a lot of people don't think about is the water management piece.
Yeah.
Arkansas is very unique in the sense that when we get rain, it's like all at once. So
yeah, you're right.
We'll see companies come in, they'll build flow trail, they'll have the drainage dialed, and then we'll have just a normal Arkansas rain come through, and then it like
kills it that one time. Yeah. I think that's one thing that if I see Trailblazers doing one thing more than actually Trailblazers and also shout out OORC. Rock armoring stuff for the right reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
I would say is like you don't necessarily have to rock armor everything, but I would say that getting it in areas that promote good drainage, I think is something that I've seen a lot of like hindsight maintenance or repairs or something like that. So, I mean, even we were at I'd love to ask you guys this. We were at Handcut Hollow, and there's like all those rocks there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
So that's Trailblazers laydown yard.
Okay. I thought so. But we were like looking at this, and it was like, there is no way this is not used for one thing.
Yeah.
Trails.
It was actually aliens that came down
And
they dropped it all up.
Yeah.
That's how the pyramids are doing. I knew this.
It, man.
I knew others were on my page. Yeah. But yeah, that we saw that and we were like, there's like no way that this is like this has to be for trail stuff.
It is.
Is it you just have that space? Is that why that's there for storage?
So this is kind of a big interesting topic, but yeah, Trailblazers owns a lot of the land that trails are put on.
Yes. Right.
So Handcut Hollow is owned by Trailblazers, so we had that whole corridor.
Oh, okay.
And it's an easement for a gas pipeline as well, so we can't do anything with it.
So is that road that cuts in between? Is that
Yeah.
what that road
Yeah,
is?
that's why that road.
Okay.
The road existed
Yeah.
before for other utilities,
Mhm.
but I don't know, 2020 or something like that.
Yeah.
20.
They made
put
it not a road.
Yeah, it's closed
It's
off.
not a road
and
anymore.
it's-
Yeah.
there's a gas pipeline in it.
Yeah.
and-
Oh, I see.
and it's a new gas pipeline, so
I see.
you really can't do anything with it. So might as well
It-
put stuff there.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and ride bikes up and down it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It does make for a good connector to get to the start of the
hub
climb.
Yeah.
The climb to the
Yeah.
hub. Yeah. But yeah, so, and then, I mean, man, there's so many things to talk about. That makes me think about the dirt jumps.
Yeah.
And Trailblazers was really behind all of that.
Again, it's our property.
It's your
100%.
it's
So-
your project.
Mhm.
We,
Yeah.
not me specifically,
Uh-huh.
or I don't think Robbie.
Mm.
You know what? I mean, I think this started with Uriah and Kiara.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anyways, they pushed it forward to the point to where we got basically Aaron Rushing's approval, who is the CEO of Trailblazers, and he's
Okay.
like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna allow people to do basically what they want and see how it goes."
Because
And
that's the interesting thing is it's the one like public or like community dig
yeah,
place that exists right now in Northwest Arkansas that's
Yep.
legal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's I would say the key point is the
Yeah.
legal
yeah.
part of it. There's plenty of trails being built out and around.
Oh, yeah.
So Trailblazers like supplies the materials and then kind of just
Well-
let them do what they want, or they had to come up with the.
Yes and no. Trailblazers flattened a pad for the container, supplied the container, supplied the hand tools, and off and on has supplied heavy equipment to
Yeah.
like dig a hole, and then the dirt,
Or like maybe stack big dirt.
or stack big dirt.
Yeah.
But that's actually not really been the case.
But
They've
the last,
stacked
like,
all those big jumps by themselves by hand.
3-4 jumps, I think, have been all
That's
hand
crazy.
stacked.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, dude.
gnarly. That's
Yeah,
what I
that's
was
crazy.
And
wondering.
they're out there with like a wheelbarrow and
Yeah.
a hand sifter,
Yeah.
sifting the material, and
Who leads that up?
it's just
Is it just community? Just like
Yeah.
everybody's just, I love that so
I always
much.
see
Yeah.
the
I love that
local
so
group
much.
of Groms out there.
Uh-huh.
Groms.
Oh yeah, I've definitely
Uh,
seen those kids out
Taylor
there.
Meats,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
works for Rock Solid.
Yeah.
He's out there like all the time. Shout
Oh,
out Taylor.
okay.
He's
Yeah.
he's a cool cat.
Nice,
Mm-hmm.
nice.
There's a whole group of them, but yeah,
Mhm.
I've been out there a handful of times. It's fun.
Cool
Cool.
vibe.
I'm needing to go out there to sweat my own sweat equity in into the dirt,
Yeah,
and then also just hit the jumps because they're
Yeah.
steep.
they're steep.
Oh, yeah.
The next, like the third, I think it's the third and fourth one.
Oh, yeah.
Like they go up.
And
Yep.
the line is techie.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not like just a straight line.
No, it's
Why start jumps with a straight line? Let's start with the tech line.
well, you know,
It-
I
people
think
get
we're all-
antsy.
We're opportunists, man.
Yeah.
And there was like a
Mhm.
an earthen ditch there. I think there used to be part of an old like dam.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And so like
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna
Right in there.
It's a lip.
Yeah, that's right. That saves some stacking.
That's
Oh,
right,
yeah.
man. So that's why
Right.
that line exists.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think that's one of the best part. Well, I think maybe like one of like the best and worst parts about Arkansas is that you'll have these like natural trails.
Yeah.
Like they naturally present themselves. And I would imagine that like it has happened with me when I've cut the one trail I've cut in my life. I was like kind of following like an old like deer path,
Yeah.
you know, and I was like, well, they clearly knew what they were doing, and it's holding the shelf and
Yeah.
it's still going down.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna go for that, you know. But there was a spot I remember that like I did follow, and I was like, man, it's like slow, like it
Yeah.
slowed me down, and I was like, I want to go fast, and so I did what you were saying is like I just went down.
Dump it down
Dump
the
it
hill.
down the hill.
Oh. But then like, you know, because it's my trail, it just went straight down, and it was like too much down,
Yeah.
and because I couldn't get back up, you know, because I went too far down.
Yeah.
So like I blew it. I blew the trail. Like,
Hey, man.
blew the design.
You live and learn.
That's right. But I imagine that it's a little bit of like trial and error.
Yeah,
Especially
for
like,
sure.
I mean, if you guys aren't working with engineered designs,
Yeah.
you're kind of, like you said, you're kind of like working with maybe something that was engineered, and you're coming in with hindsight, and
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I think it's interesting, but there's not a lot of engineering being done on
At
bike
all?
trails.
No.
In the
Yeah.
industry.
Okay.
Really.
I'm not saying there's none,
Uh-huh.
but it's not common.
Because I would
practice.
imagine some cities like require it, and
in some capacity,
okay,
but
maybe not Bentonville.
but even not like certain pay to play style places. I mean, we've both been to many bike parks
Yeah.
across the country, and
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys. You guys did the like a
builders
tour,
and-
like a
Yeah.
man. Let's go into that.
Let's do it.
You guys
Let's
went.
do it,
I don't
man.
even know what the hell you guys were doing. You
Yeah.
guys. It seemed like you guys were just like having a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
but basically from what I could tell is you were going around and checking out different bike
Yep.
parks and what they do, how they do, like
Yeah,
what
yeah.
was that?
It was like, I mean, it was a good grand old time that we had a lot of fun riding bikes.
I'm glad it was good.
But there was a lot of like us at each bike park going down a trail, maybe seeing or hitting something that we thought was interesting, unique, or something that just caught our eye. So we would stop, you know, we'd look at the feature or whatever it was, kind of talk about it, kind of dissect it. And also it was us seeing like what things work at those bike parks, also like what things weren't working at those bike
Yeah.
parks.
Right,
'Cause
like maybe what Northwest Arkansas does excel at.
Yes, yeah.
And it's got to excel something.
because there's pros and cons to every bike park. It
Sure.
doesn't matter where you're at. So, but we got to see all these different things. Like for instance, like we went to Highlands. I think that was the first one we went to,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, Highland Bike Park.
And if you haven't been out there,
you should go.
the dirt is like something out of a
Mm.
fairy tale.
Yeah.
Like it's the perfect moisture content.
Fairy tale dirt.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter. You could be going 40 down a trail, and there's a flat corner, and you just push into the flat corner,
Yeah.
and you don't slide. It just hooks up. And you
That's so
dude,
rad.
It's so wild.
That's amazing.
It's crazy.
That's amazing.
Check that out.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah, we went to Highlands, Thunder,
Killington.
Killington, and then that short stint at Snow.
Yeah, snow.
Snow.
Yeah.
There was like a rainy day, and like the park was closed, but we pedaled to the top of it. And
Snow Summit?
I don't
No,
remember.
I think it was
Oh.
Mount Snow or something.
Mount
Snow.
Snow.
Okay, because
It
where
was Mount Snow.
what
Yeah.
were you guys just in one area? Because I really felt like you guys bounced around the entire country, but I
it
could be
was-
wrong.
So we did a northeast trip.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it,
No.
got it.
We've both been to lots of other
Yeah,
bike
yeah.
parks beyond that.
Were you
so-
like at Angel Fire, like right before that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was.
We were at
I was
Angel
like, then just go to Angel Fire, and
And then,
then
like-
just like
Yeah.
jet
Not too long
setting.
before that, for his bachelor party, I
Yeah.
mean, we went to what Trestle, Snowmass,
Yeah.
Okay.
Angel Fire,
Yeah,
Salida,
Yeah.
all
nice.
kinds of places.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
just hit all the
oh yeah,
Yeah, we've
all
been,
the goodies.
we've been riding.
yeah.
Hit all the goodies.
And then before that, just earlier that year, I went to Jared's
Yeah,
place
he
in
went
Georgia.
Oh, rad. Yeah.
And
Jared's place.
dude,
Looks
I've
steep.
been trying to ride as many bike parks as I can.
Yeah.
We've both been to, Austin area. I've
Yep.
been to Spider as well.
Spider Mountain. Okay.
Reveille.
Reveille, yeah.
Man, so really what it seems like is like you've actually went to all of like a bunch of different styles of parks, because it's everything that we just listed is like you have like kind of like your big mountain
Oh, yeah.
lift parks,
Mhm.
you have no mountain lift park.
Yeah.
And then like you have just and then talking about different dirt, different
Yeah.
Terrain, just-
different terrain, different builders,
Yeah.
different builders that maybe design the mountain too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I would say maybe like hub design
Yeah.
maybe is something. Do you guys
Sure.
look at any of that? I mean, we're heavy in hubs in Northwest Arkansas.
If the mountain's big enough, it's done differently because
True.
the hubs they act as more of like a natural breathing ground in between,
Mm-hmm.
sections as you come down the mountain.
Right, for big mountain
Yeah.
stuff.
But
yeah.
if especially with like a shuttle or a lift, you have a stop, you have a start and a stop. They're
Mhm.
already
Mhm.
predetermined for you, and so when you see a bike park, they usually split off and spread out from the top.
Yeah.
And they spider down and then they come back together towards the bottom.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
So we kind of replicate that in spots, especially like at the castle.
Castle. Yeah.
But it's just on a smaller scale,
Mhm.
And because we have such limited total vert, we spread that out. You know,
Mhm.
150 to 200 foot is actually not a bad trail. It's, you see it all the time in like 600 foot bike parks where you go down for a little bit, you take a short break, go down for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, me and Scott we were at a snow summit,
No summits like that.
and yeah, there were a couple of those times where we'd get to a halfway point and I would be like exhausted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like
They're
I'm
like 11 to 15 minute runs if you full pulled it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you get to the bottom,
Oh, yeah.
and your hands don't move. You're just like, oh.
broken.
Yeah, man.
Mhm.
Riding parks
Yeah.
is just like, it's a whole nother animal, man.
Yeah.
Like, I still remember the first time I ever went to a park. It was Trestle.
hmm
And I remember going down, I think it was Rainmaker, and I made it through the first section, and I had to stop, and I was just kind of like sitting there, and I was like so confused because like everything was just smoked, man.
Yeah.
I was having the best
Right.
time of my life, but my body was just
Wrecked,
immediately.
yeah.
I was
The
like,
arches of your feet
Yeah.
are blazing. Every knuckle joint's on fire.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was
man,
like, I
that
ride a
stuff's
bike
brutal.
all the time. Like, what is going on?
What is wrong with me? Yeah.
It's totally different than here because they're shorter runs.
Yeah.
Well, so that's it. It's the shorter runs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And even like, you know, I started mountain biking in San Diego area, so everything's like, you know, it's dusty.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
kind of sand-ish.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really just loose as hell. And then you come here, I'd come here to visit my daughter and her kids, and we'd hit Kohler or something. I was like, telling my buddies, dude, it's like racetracks out here. It's like insane.
It's very true.
And very
Yeah.
like just way more sticky and stuff. So
Yeah.
We got a lot more clay.
Yeah.
well, and you go back to San Diego, and you're like, man, I'm gonna suck when I get back because
Yeah.
it's gonna be different. And I was actually better
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah.
I was even riding better there, even though it's looser. So
Well,
it was
you get that Bentonville slide in the summer here. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
gets
That's right.
Yeah,
loose.
totally.
It
yeah,
does
you
happen.
get those little marbly
Yeah.
stuff, but
It does happen. Yeah.
I don't want to discourage you from thinking that things are not well thought out, though, because
Yeah.
I don't want you. I don't know if that sounded like there's no planning being done, because there is
No, not at
lots
all.
of planning being done. It's just not. There's no, because there's no. An engineer would not know what they would. They could figure some problems out,
Mhm.
but one would need to be a mountain biker, and they would need some base information to go off of. And there are
Right.
certain parts of this, like with load-bearing bridges, and where they do go to engineering, but.
yeah.
Like the Castle went to engineering through Rock Solid has their own engineers, and I think Progressive does have a couple of engineers on
Mhm.
staff. But Gravity Logic, no.
I was just curiosity. That's all.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like,
Yeah.
you know, again, San Diego, it's just
And
they don't have any of that.
yeah, exactly.
They don't. You can't. It's all like anything that's cool.
Yeah.
is unsanctioned.
and
so,
that's the norm.
Uh-huh.
So where trail building is going, though, is what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
As it becomes a bigger sport and there's more money in it and there's more risk to a larger number of people, there
Mhm.
will always be more people involved who want to have ways to measure risk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ski industry went through this a long, long time ago, but the ski industry is also like 100 years old now.
Mhm.
They've got a manual for terrain parks that talks a lot about elapsed height fall and how to build radiuses, and we have mimicked a lot of that and also have a huge amount of data from what works and what doesn't, both from a riding perspective, from gathering data on trails across the country in spreadsheets to see what makes a blue trail, what makes a black trail,
Mm-hmm.
and then additionally on top of that, what works from a numbers perspective. You know, I talked about grades early on. Grades are super important, and we know what grades work and what don't work,
Mhm.
especially with Arkansas soil type. So it's not that there's not engineering being done, but there's no engineer stamp yet.
Right.
And we try to use science
Yeah.
at least to back up what we're doing all the time,
Well, I think
if that makes sense.
it
Totally.
does.
Okay.
It does, but I think it's kind of hard to put science and NAR together. You know, like
I disagree.
I would love to dive into this, but
This is the dude
to,
for it.
Science.
to finish my point, I think that something may look good on paper, but ride better if not drawn or like built as drawn.
And I would
so
add,
that's what I would
what
Okay.
I'm
getting
like,
at.
when he's getting at, like, because we're coming up with these guidelines
Mm-hmm.
for the
Or
community college and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
I want to say this because there's going to be some trail builder watching this, and he's going to be like, "You're taking the artistic ability." Blah, blah, blah.
Okay, right.
It's not it. Like, guidelines are there because there's certain variables that
They're not rules.
Sure.
Like, there's certain variables that carry over to every feature, no matter what you're doing. There's certain things you can look at for everything
Sure.
that carry through. But then there's also going to be certain variables that change depending on where the feature is.
Yep.
Or like different type of dirt.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
all these other things. But
Also,
there is-
geographical problem areas. Like, you come into a limestone band. What are
Right.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do about it? Like, if the trail's coming ripping down a hill and you get to a limestone band, like, you're either gonna blow it up, which is a lot of work,
Yep.
or you're gonna build a bridge, or you're gonna go across it until you get down
Right.
it. And you have options there, right? One's gonna be really fast if you build a bridge down it, or really expensive because the bridge is gonna be super long to get over it, or the trail's gonna be really slow because you went on a flat piece of limestone for 200 foot, and so maybe you're ripping into it, and maybe you carry enough momentum through it, but it's still gonna slow down if you do that.
And then that becomes a choice
Yeah.
on the building side or maintenance side of one, do we have the money to even aid this?
Yeah.
Or if we do have a certain budget, hey, we're putting money towards maybe fill dirt here. I don't know, labor. I'm sure labor costs get implemented into trail costs overall.
One thing that Trailblazers have done and has been really, really cool is we've hired a GIS specialist, and now we have a second GIS specialist on our staff.
Okay.
And so not only do they handle the map stuff, but they've helped assist us in understanding what we're doing and what we're doing a lot of, because we take a survey every single day of every one of our crew leads, and they put it into this GIS survey, and so we know what we've done every single day for the last year and a half.
Oh, wow.
And that has a representation of distance, a representation of what kind of maintenance was done, or whether it was new construction or maintenance.
Yeah.
And so we know where the problems are. And we know, because we have that data and we've gone back and fixed things successfully over the years now,
Right.
we know how to fix them a lot, most of the time.
So you say you know where the problems are.
Yeah.
So you probably have like a list, I imagine, of problems to solve.
Yeah.
And
it's always moving.
Yeah.
And is it insurmountable? Like, you can't, like, it's not something that you're ever going to get to the end of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always going to have to circle back on something.
Yeah.
100%. It's dirt. And
Yeah.
it's raining.
Well,
Yep.
this is like amazing content because, you know, it's like the average Joe, and especially for Northwest Arkansas, there's just so many people coming from all over, and maybe coming from a similar situation that I came from, where it's just a group of guys that maintain with shovels. They can't get machinery in there. And, we're sitting at these hubs in slaughter pen, and I'm just hearing people talking, what I would have done is I would have cut it in here and cut it in there. And it's like, it just doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
It depends on.
Well, here's the deal. I want to be 100% clear about something.
Mm-hmm.
It is a dramatically different beast
Mm-hmm.
when you're building trails for public consumption.
Yep.
If you want to build some fucking cool shit in your backyard,
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for it, man, and I'll come ride it. And
Stack the lip.
And I'll come help you do it.
Right.
But this has to be consumable for average
the masses.
Joes, the masses,
Yeah.
right? These are when we build something that launches people into the air.
Mm-hmm.
We, in some capacity, have some level of requirement that
There's a duty there.
There's a duty
Yeah.
there that,
Yeah.
of due diligence to understand what you're doing when you're doing that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brandon RC for
Shannon.
pounding that into our heads.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Brandon RC worked for Gravity Logic for 10 years, and
Okay.
He taught us everything.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, we one of those right place, right time
Yeah.
situations where we had a mentor, and it helped us tremendously.
Was that like was that by design, or was that just by chance that
It
you
was by
worked with
chance.
him?
By chance, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just on a project.
Yeah.
Just.
No, he
That-
started the exact same day at Trailblazers
Oh.
that I started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
That's,
we,
that's one of those names, like in the trail building world. Like, you may not see him plastered on posters, but you mention his name in the trail
He's
building world,
doing
everybody
stuff.
Knows.
he
Yeah.
knows,
No,
he knows.
yeah.
People know who he is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, having somebody that like probably, because I do know about Gravity Logic in the sense that they're tenured in their design and their building, and like, you know, I think that you brought up a point about builders coming from another area coming here, and what may have worked somewhere else may not actually work here, and it probably only takes a trail builder maybe a couple of trails to figure that out, you know, coming and working here, but then they come and do a couple.
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
Because most of these guys come from Mountain West places.
Yeah.
Their trails are only ridden in the summer.
Yeah.
And we have a really unique set of circumstances in that our trails stay open all winter. And winter provides a much different riding experience than the summer does. You know, air density increases because of temperature. The winds often shift. Soil moisture content goes way up. Trails just run slower. Yeah. And so you have basically a 20% swing in speed between summer and winter here. And you see a lot of these YouTubers come here. Well, they're all West folks. You know, they're all spending time in BC and Colorado and Utah, whatever. Good for them. I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, sure.
They come here during the winter because our trails are rideable. And like, wow, these jumps really stink. I can't clear them. I'm like, well, you're riding them at the slowest time of the year here. Yeah. Just like if you were riding your trails at home.
And we wouldn't
slowest not to.
And you wouldn't change it because it's a slow season.
Exactly.
Yeah. You would just maintain it until it's back to that time.
That's right.
I would imagine.
Yeah. Like Ethan and I, like especially during the winter, like before we go out on a ride, like him and I will literally check to see which direction the wind is coming from. So we know which trails to hit that work. You know, if it's a south wind.
We got one of those buddies.
Yeah. We're gonna go hit.
But I think we're believing it now. We got a wind guy.
Or you're
you're
just committed to taking pedals this time of year.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. But it has to be an unknown thing, because if you're building stuff for your basically your peak conditions, I would way rather have somebody case a jump than clear it to flat.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that Brandon pounded into our head is no lander too long and no berm too tall.
I like that.
You know,
I like that.
The first time you have somebody have a life altering injury on a jump you built because you shot them 10 foot past it.
Yeah. Well,
that's gonna weigh on you.
We were at Snow Summit, and they had just redone one of their main lines. What was that trail, Scott?
Party Wave.
Party Wave. It's
Party Wave. That's a cool name.
That's a cool name.
It is it, and it's a cool trail too. It's a cool trail too. So they had just redone it, and then we had found out that somebody had died at the park from overshooting.
Yeah.
Like, and to just think that somebody can die from overshooting a jump.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to like do a jump bad, you know, you weren't supposed to be there or something like that. But like if it's somebody who like kind of knows how to ride, knows what they're doing, knows how to adjust speed, and just simply got overshot.
Yeah.
Like I'd imagine it's a pretty heavy weighing feeling.
I'm just gonna call him out.
Yeah.
Mount Snow.
Dude.
Freaking death drop, whatever
Never
it was.
in my
How
life.
fast were we going into there?
You could go 40 into it.
And there's no signage.
No. There's a sign.
It says slow.
It's this big. It says slow.
But there's also a service road crossing there. So when you see the slow sign, you're like, oh, because
it must be for that.
And then all of a sudden the trail just disappears.
Oh,
and it drops into
okay.
this gully, and there's no lander. Like it's just straight to.
Like
and it's like how tall?
It's like this, and you're coming at it, and you're just like. It's like. It feels like a ski jump with no ending.
No ending.
You just hit the belly.
And we've done some gnarly shit, man. But that like scared the crap out of us.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds nuts.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine like there's got to be people.
And this brings up an interesting point because we know that we are also not perfect.
Yeah.
You know, like we built what I think is a super fun trail at the castle called Furnace. And we've come to the conclusion that the first jump is too short, and we're gonna change it.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's just something that, you know, while you're building it, it rides fine while you're building it, but as the dirt packs in and speeds
once it
up,
burns
we
in.
were off on our speed mainly because it comes in off of the straight off the deck and people are pedaling more
into it.
than
Yeah.
we had anticipated. People are like sprinting into it.
I'd agree. Yeah, I've
And-
overshot it a few times.
And the thing is, if you ride it and you just kind of cruise in, it's no big deal. The jump
Yeah, it
works pretty
works.
okay. But if you go into it, you've been cranking,
Right.
you're ripping into that thing, and you can get too much airtime basically off
Oh,
of it.
okay,
It can hurt
gotcha.
people. So
Yeah, I usually just try to suck it in and just
yeah,
Yeah.
not do anything on it. But the rest of them are cool.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can fly on the other ones.
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a interesting project. 'cause
It was.
All those features were, I'd say all of them were different than what we normally.
Yeah,
It is
do.
fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fun one.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's fast if
And-
you want it to be.
Yeah, you can really
Yeah.
get
Oh, yeah.
cooking on that one.
When you built that one, is that the adaptive trail?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when you're saying that you're building features that you hadn't done before, is it because of that you were like
Yeah.
trying to building towards
Yeah.
that? Did you
Yep.
have when you were doing that? Did you have somebody that you were working with that was like guiding you towards
A couple of people, yeah.
those adaptive type
100%.
features?
And we've been doing it for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Adaptive features.
Adaptive
Yeah.
features.
Okay, gotcha.
In fact, we're also working on a set of guidelines with some folks from BC right now to actually make some jump guidelines for adaptive bikes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And it's really challenging. It's
Yeah.
they have a lot of the same problems that we have. A lot of it's commitment.
Mhm.
You know, a lot mountain bikers do the same stuff. They don't commit to jumps, and that's when they oftentimes get really messed up because it's like that.
For sure.
It's a halfway land, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't have the option to bail. You know,
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
they're
right.
attached.
They
So-
are locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and their bikes, unless you're pinned in a throttle on them, oftentimes, depending on how they're set up, which that's another thing, but are weighted much differently than
Oh,
our bikes.
right. Because, like, with those, and I imagine this had to come in conversation. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you have adaptive bikes that are just kind of like, I would say, I don't even know if there's non-E, but they're like light
There's-
E.
yeah.
But then there's ones that are just straight up like
Oh, yeah.
motor,
Bro.
Full
like
rip,
I
dude.
mean full rip
We work
motor.
with this
Yes.
lady
Dude.
named Annika, and hers has just this mega motor on it.
Okay.
And she's got like a ROP system on it, and then they go all the way down to like rigid frame,
Yeah.
almost not. They're very much more similar to our bikes versus or a traditional mountain bike in a lot of ways.
Right.
Just with 3 wheels.
Right.
Hers is like you sit in it, you steer it.
Oh, right.
And it's
And it's more like a cockpit like versus other ones that are more like you're sitting on top of the frame.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And a couple of those, like at Bike Fest, I was hauling around a film crew that were working for a film that's going on, and Bowhead had 2 of their, like, I guess pro riders,
Yeah.
is what they call them, because they
Yeah.
ride for them,
Mhm.
come out and, like,
They're so sick.
being in the woods, like, they came down Lone Wolf
Oh, man.
racing. And like you hear this motor and it's like a horror movie, Whee! And you're just like oh my gosh, and there's stuff flying everywhere and they're just hauling ass like so fast. It is the gnarliest
That's
thing.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, the one
That's
dude.
pretty great.
Was mad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't remember his name.
I can't
He
remember
was
his name either, man.
So fast.
They were like they did like I think one dude used to race professional motocross.
Yeah.
And another dude did something else.
Real
but then
adrenaline
something
junkie
happened.
guy.
That's a trip, dude.
But yeah, so we're
Yeah.
we're trying to deal with a lot of weird physics, and
Yeah.
again, what may work for one bike may not work for another one because of the weight biases. Like some of them are front wheels, 2 front wheels, some of them are 2 back wheels, and so you end up with these really strange. Luckily, their center of gravity is pretty low, generally speaking.
Oh, okay.
But that's why the jumps are shaped that way on furnaces, because a lot of them aren't going to make the jump, but they're going to case the snot out of it.
They're gonna case it, and you have to make sure. I'm sure a
And they're
couple of
gonna
things.
front case
They're
it.
gonna
Yeah.
They're gonna front case it.
Yeah.
And they're going to that they're not only are you trying to make it safe for the casing of the fact that they're casing and
Yeah.
and they're not going to get hurt,
Yeah.
but you're probably also like they're going to case it and it's going to wear the jump down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if that's going to be one of the natural things that happens,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine that you have to build to cater to that
100%,
in some
100%.
And it was wild
Capacity.
because like that first, like, I don't know, 100, 200 feet, however long, when we got into the tree line back to that berm, we had built this trail, and we made sure, like, we already knew in our heads, like, stuff needed to be a little more, like, chill.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a pride check for, I think, Ethan, myself, and then our guy, Graham. But, like, we built this, and we were riding it on our bikes, and we're like, dude, this is sick. Like,
This is gonna be so fun.
So
Yeah.
rad.
Oh, right.
And we had one of the guys come out and ride it, and he was like, this sucks. This doesn't work.
Maybe not
Like,
exactly.
yeah, he didn't say it that way, but in our hearts, we
I
were
kinda
like,
wish he
oh,
did say it.
man. Like,
Yeah.
he should have.
Yo, this sucks.
This sucks, bro.
Yo.
So,
this
like,
sucks.
it was like, for us, you know, being the builders,
That's
like, we take pride in what we do. So
Sure.
we were like, this is great. And then he says this, and you're just like, dude, what are we doing? I don't even know how to build
Yeah,
trails.
you're like, actually, I'm questioning all my existence.
It was 2 berms in a row.
yeah.
It was,
Oh.
Yeah, Robbie had built this beautiful berm. And, you know, it was like probably chest height.
No berm too tall.
Sweet berm.
Yeah.
It's a good berm. He gets in there and he's like, that needs to be bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then the next one, I built this like
Double the size.
big, what I call like a light bulb berm.
Yeah.
You know, where
Okay.
it catches you and then hooks you in and you just kind of.
Okay, yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And it was going to work for mountain bikes. You're
Yeah.
going to have enough speed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But because they're 3-wheeled devices, if you get them cambered up and they're not going fast enough to hold their momentum, like
Oh, they
with centrifugal
lose it
force,
coming out.
They'll start rolling.
Oh.
They'll roll over.
They'll roll over.
Oh,
And
man.
So-
Yeah.
and so we had to like, if you're building, what we learned is if you're building like a blue or let's say we're building a green trail,
Uh-huh.
that green trail for an adaptive bike needs to be flagged steeper than you would flag a green trail for
That
a
makes
regular
sense.
mountain bike.
Yeah.
That
And so
makes
what we
sense.
ended up doing to solve the problem is I built this big old freaking smoking berm. It was huge. It took me like a day and a half to build it.
Uh-huh.
Put all the drainage in, had pipes in it, the whole nine. He wrote it and he's like, this doesn't feel right. And I'm like, I know. It
So we
hurt.
completely got rid of it.
So I got
So I think that's a good point on like
just
on the
the next
building
day
side of
smoked
things.
it.
It's a good day's work.
Oh, I think that's a
Do
good
we have a
point.
cherry incident?
We're gonna pretend like nothing
we,
happened.
we might have had a cherry incident.
I think that's a good point though on the building side, you know, talking about, you know, we're not always perfect or, you know, it's trial and error.
Not
It's
even
Mhm.
not even close.
we built this really sick berm, you know, and
Yeah.
like
It was just
literally-
generally speaking a good berm.
Yeah.
yeah, it looked
but
great.
we
The
literally
shape was
had
Put
to
all that
get
work
rid of
in,
it.
yeah.
Like we took a big 10-ton excavator and just
Just
plowed it
leveled
away.
And just cut it.
Yeah.
Jeez, all that work.
Yeah. It is what
But
it
it
is.
happens.
You know, I would
Part
again,
of it.
I would way rather build something that doesn't work
Mhm.
and know why it doesn't work at the
Yeah.
end of it, so I can learn from it,
Well, it's,
and then build something that does work
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the back end of it.
you said that you're trying to build like a curriculum
That's
for
right.
for
That's right.
for this kind of stuff, and it's like if you're gonna do that, you're not gonna just like build it wrong and be like,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that's it,
That's
you know,
That's it.
yeah.
Which happens
So what
sometimes.
about pivoting over to medieval? Can we talk about that?
Yeah. it's
Well,
open.
medieval's open, right?
Yeah.
Right, So it's open now.
Yeah,
open.
it is
Yeah.
open. Yeah.
It wasn't open last weekend, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I haven't seen it yet. But this I saw an interesting jump you guys were building over there. That was kind of something I've never seen before, right?
Which
We're talking
one?
about invasion maybe?
Oh, that's invasion.
The
yeah.
one that,
Lily pad?
I don't know, man. I just seen. I've never seen.
Oh
anything
yeah,
like that.
are you?
It's
Yeah,
got a couple
you're you're talking about the lily pad at
On off. Yeah.
At-
on off.
at,
yeah.
Huntley.
at Huntley.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
Huntley.
Oh, that's
yeah,
where
it's
it's
at
at.
Huntley.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
on the kind of forgotten trail called Invasion.
Invasion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah, it's forgotten.
Which it's
Okay.
way better now, so
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Felix and them went and checked it out
Okay.
the other day.
Yeah. No, that trail needed some love because
Yeah.
it was kind of like longer than the other ones and boring
And black.
and black.
Black, yeah.
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 So I went
Weird.
down and I was like, "Why is this black again?" Like,
Exactly.
I'm not really
Well,
sure.
you got like 2 random gaps at the top, and the rest of it was like.
Yep. hmm
yeah, just
What
weird
was
corners.
that?
Just a ride.
Yeah.
It was like just
Did they forget to finish the trail?
yeah. Like I kind of thought I was like surely I must be on the wrong trail.
Yeah.
Like.
So that jump I'm talking about, I'm trying to visualize it, but it's not like just a traditional jump with a table, right? It
No.
kind of dips down and then goes
Yeah,
back up and
so-
dips down again.
Man, honestly, like I've been wanting to build a lily pad for a long time, especially going out northeast. Like they have stuff like that.
Yeah.
Typically, they're wood features.
Yeah.
But then also like my skateboarding background, like I just fun boxes and stuff like that.
It's like a picnic table.
Yeah, man.
Like you're like hopping on a picnic
100%.
table,
Yeah.
hopping off. Yeah.
So like the beginning part of it, the first lip is like so mellow. Like it is.
It's really not a lip.
Yeah.
You just
it just
you're
like
just cruising up.
Yeah.
lays you up on top.
Okay.
Because there is a little bit of a gap there, and then we built that kind of tail off the end of it.
So how are you supposed to ride it?
Well, there's we learned there's a couple ways.
Well, didn't somebody gapped it, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
already been like
Rich
3 or 4
Drew
people.
and Mason and Declan.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
all.
I
they
saw
all-
them too, like, but it looks like
They had
you'd have to have their skills to
Yeah, and they had to
clear
And
the whole
speed.
pedaling like crazy.
It's got to
Yeah.
be every bit of 30 foot.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's like a lip to knuckle 30-foot jump is manageable, but there's not a lip. You gotta
Yeah.
like
You gotta-
generate.
You had to
that
like
up.
pop it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like bunny hopping.
So for
Yeah.
regular guys, what
Yeah.
are you supposed to do? Like hit it?
Yeah,
and
hop
then
on,
hit it?
hop off.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
Okay, I
That's
gotcha.
the way it is. You'll see some guys, like I'm sure somebody's already done it, but they'll manual the top of it, just like a picnic table. You
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
yeah,
I'm gonna
just
have
something
to-
different.
I
you
gotta
know?
go like see it. Like,
It's super fun.
in
It's super
person.
chill. Like, the way I was telling a guy that was working out there with me, Jacob, how to ride it. It's kind of like, because it's kind of fast through there. Is like you hit it kind of like a rhythm section, because it's really quick. You don't need to really think about it. Just on off real quick, and then you're right into the next corner going down the trail. So
Okay.
Let the feature work for you.
yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to go check that out.
I really want to build like a step up, step down quad. Like there was one at Highlands that was really cool. It's like a
Describe this. What do you mean by that? What
Dude, that was one of
My
my
brain
favorite
broke a little
features.
bit.
Highlands.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
I kind
You
of
come-
twitched.
so you come up a lip like a standard jump lip.
Yep.
Like on a table,
Mhm.
and then you have like a step up knuckle.
Okay.
And then a basically a
Dip.
lander
Yep.
lip combo in the middle,
and then
and
another.
then a double down, so you step down.
Oh,
So
that
it's-
sounds
it looks
fun.
like a symmetrical shape.
Yeah, yeah.
You step up.
Step up,
in,
hop in,
step
step
up.
out.
But there's so
Yeah.
many different options for that one feature.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
gotcha.
can triplet,
Like-
quad it, double
Okay.
it.
Oh, so you have dips in between.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can
it's
kind of
super
choose.
cool.
That feels very motocross.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
super moto,
yeah.
dude.
I'm in.
Moto rhythm.
I'm in. I'm in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
in.
that sounds fun, man.
Yeah.
So what did you what was done to medieval? Just cleaning it up.
Yeah, what
rebuilding
was
the
that?
Quite a
jumps?
bit of
Medieval.
changes at the top.
A lot of changes.
Okay.
Starting from the hub,
Mhm.
we brought the first berm out just a hair, and made it another 2 foot taller. Again, we get to watch ride lines, so
Sure.
Right.
the ride line was at the tippy top of that thing, and it's a little unnerving, especially because we rolled up on a woman one day who had a dislocated knee because she
Yeah.
just booped out the top.
Oh,
She
of it.
like
hey.
right out of the top, right into the trees, man.
Yeah.
Right out of medieval, like the start right there.
Start.
Yeah.
Because there's really nothing over there.
No.
Like when you're making that berm, and
Yeah.
it's kind of that dead area in between catapult
That's
and
right.
medieval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just
It's just
woods.
woods. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we brought that out or up so you
Mm-hmm.
can hook it harder. I mean, if you were a good rider before, it's going to ride the exact same, just with more meat on top
yeah.
of it.
Okay.
You know, we very mildly changed the first jump. It's got like a little more playfulness to it. It's got a little bit of a right hip to it now.
Okay.
And then the next 2 berms are just bigger,
Okay.
like a lot bigger.
Massive.
Gotcha.
Like
Oh, okay. That's good.
Because the second jump was a little bit of a struggle, right?
Oh, it was a major, major
yeah.
struggle.
100%.
You had to have the speed, and it was like
Yeah.
you just don't have it. You
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
make sure you had it.
So if you can call it this, our prime directive for this trail was to make the trail work without pedals.
Hmm.
That's what we wanted to do to the trail to,
Yeah.
to
Oh, I-
make it feel intuitive.
I love to hear that because I think that the biggest complaint was like that was the pedal trail.
Oh yeah,
It's like
100%.
everybody knew that like on medieval you're pedaling
sprinting
in the middle.
Yeah.
You're sprinting in the middle
So
for sure.
where you're explaining where all the pedals were required. You come out of that berm, you hit the table. The table's different now. It's more of a freebie jump now.
Okay.
Like you're gonna get it, and it's gonna set you up for the speed for the next
For the
section.
next section. Okay.
So you come into it, you have a big left. I'd call it like an ice cream cone roller,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like a mix between a berm and a roller.
Okay.
Another one of those, you go under that bridge.
Yep.
And then that's where like the big changes happened.
Mm.
It used to go out and back at that point.
Yes.
We cut that off. Was lopped that off.
And it's just straight through.
Well, now it's another righty roller into a huge 7-foot tall berm.
Oh, okay.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And so there's 75 or so foot of trail that is now gone.
Wow.
And so now you come under that bridge, big setup roller, left berm, and then you've got a roller, a step down, and then you're back into Old Trail.
Into the Old Trail.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it's the last 2 jumps.
Three jumps.
Three jumps. That's right.
Yep.
Well, and I mean that, again, just, listening to people up there, which I'm sure you guys do a lot of listening.
Oh, yeah.
But it's hard to get to the bottom.
Oh,
and then, and really it just meant that nobody wrote it.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, and that was the worst part.
Super ideal conditions to make it work, and that's just not a reality with mountain bike trails.
I mean, that's like, for us, that was like the one trail every time we ride, like, we would be like, want to do medieval? Nah.
Nah.
Well,
Facts.
sometimes I've made comments to you guys. I was like, man, Catapult seems like it should have been medieval. Just
Like
because
as
it
far
always
as like
seemed
in
that ran faster.
in terms of like NAR factor or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
Or just speed.
or
wise.
speed.
I felt like
Speed.
it carried more speed on Catapult for a bigger jump.
Yeah, it does.
Uh-huh.
It did.
It did.
It does
Yeah.
not anymore.
It does not anymore. No. Catapult. Why don't y'all just move over and
But that's-
work on those?
This was kind of like a bigger. This was the icing on the cake for the bigger project, which was to make all of the trails progressive out there. And so now you've got a clear green with Uwabami. You've got Wildfire and Furnace to kind of step in between there. And then you've got the Roll-In with Catapult. And then you've got Medieval now to kind of be the icing on the cake. The closest to a black jump line.
Yeah.
The last jumps they're big jumps,
Yeah.
and they're relatively steep lips, and we left them,
That's great.
It's
good to hear.
We want them to stay. We want that progression to be available at the castle.
Yeah.
Because there should be, there should be a way
it's
to.
It's an excellent hub,
yeah.
man. I mean, that's the hub. We recruited 2 skaters from Fayetteville from back in the day, and they came out, and we went right there. I was like, Castle's the best place. Then we I don't want to say we coached, but there was like 7 new riders that were street riders, cyclists, and they wanted to try out mountain biking. So a bunch of us went, and we just went right to the castle. It was
Love
like
that.
that's the best place
Yeah.
to like. And we ended up on Wildfire because they wanted to learn how to jump, and it's like, and you can watch people all day long.
Dude,
'cause it was.
We were talking
perfect.
before the show. It's a date night spot, man.
Oh,
Like,
totally.
You can go and have fun and ride a whole myriad of different trails and have your own experience in the same spot.
Well,
Yeah.
and you brought up progression. So I think that's one of the cool spots in the area that you can not leave.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you can like test your stuff out here.
Yeah.
If you're feeling a little saucy, you can try this other
Yeah.
one. And hey, follow me on this one.
Yeah.
And then you can
Yeah.
get something. And we all meet at the bottom. How'd that go?
Yeah.
Let's climb back up.
Yeah.
And the
That's it.
climb is also not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's Bentonville in a nutshell.
Well, true.
I mean, no.
we
and
might
I-
have just described
And I think that's what the beauty of Bentonville is
Sure.
on the whole, like that's what makes it what it is,
Mhm.
And if you got an e-bike, oh man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Me and my girlfriend e-bike
Whatever.
that thing, and I'm like,
just lapping.
yep. I'm like, I'm gonna hit this one. I'll see you at the bottom.
It's so
Yeah.
crazy, like anymore, like working out at the castle, building Wildfire or
Mhm.
Furnace, like you'll be like looking at the climb line and you'll be like e-bike,
E-bike.
e-bike,
E-bike.
e-bike,
Yep.
e-bike,
E-bike.
and it's just like,
Oh, look
They-
at that
they're
poor soul
outnumbered.
peddling his
Yeah.
gun.
although I,
That's me. That's
I
when
will
I
say-
climb the trail.
I told you that one day I kid you not, I saw a dude pushing his e-bike.
Oh no.
Up
No
the
way.
trail.
Oh no way.
Like battery dead, or
I don't think so.
he just didn't realize what he had under him.
Yeah.
This rental bike.
So is the battle for the alt climb lines? Like,
Oh, it's already been
Oh
done,
yeah, dude. It's
Yeah.
or
it's
do you
been
guys
chosen
just-
by the
do you
people.
just
Yeah.
give up on it? Or,
That's actually going to be one of our future projects. We're going to combine the two into a single,
Oh, gotcha.
and then we're
Okay.
gonna chip seal the climb line.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just one of those spots where chip seal makes like
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally does.
It does.
Plus, at this point, with having two and the way that riders have been using it, it's causing more erosion problems than
Then
the chip seal
less.
problems
Yeah.
would be. You know, if that makes sense.
Well,
Yeah, totally.
and I mean, like as somebody who's like the non-E inside of stuff, I'm usually like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna use this part of the trail because nobody uses it, and I need a break. You know, I think that's the only reason.
Well, the straight line up Castle is like kind of seems like that's the e-bike line
Path.
or
Yeah.
the e-bike path.
Yeah.
But now
Crush up
everybody
it.
just uses it.
Yeah,
Sure.
and we're gonna make a hybrid of the two, and then
Yeah.
pinch it and hold it and close it off, where
Mhm.
people would not do that.
There would be
before.
no
But
reason.
we're gonna look at like what's gonna work best for
Yeah.
everyone.
I was joking that we needed to get one of those tow mates, or like, you know what I mean, like where you get a rope and you like
Yeah.
hold it
Yeah.
and you go up. I think that'd be sick.
You,
there.
but you just hook onto a random e-biker as they're going up.
Look, tow ropes suck, and I mean you can do it, but it's like it's better than just nothing. I guess
Yeah.
is the fact, but yeah, man.
I couldn't do it. There's so much shame involved.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's shame.
Oh,
yeah.
I am shamed. Like waving past people. Like, it's really you're the princess of the trail at that point.
After a while, you just smile and go, "Well, I'm getting more laps than you."
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
screw it.
It's the girl. It's the lady of the evening with her pimp. Like, this is my man.
And
It's that
and then
e-bike.
I'm the one towing, going, "Man, I feel I'm just on my regular bike again."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you
That's
blow
funny.
by us going 20, and we're like,
Yeah.
wish I was one of those guys.
Yep.
It's that. Well, and I think that so is that land Trailblazer land?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, man, lift park. I'm telling you, this little mini lift. It's a mini lift right there.
Yeah.
It's like we
You
were
know?
talking about this on the way here.
Oh yeah.
You guys talking about a lift park on the way here?
Hey man.
We all know. Look,
We hear
the cat's
things.
out of the
Yeah,
bag.
we
The,
hear
the,
things.
the,
you
the-
heard nothing from
Yep.
me.
You didn't hear anything
Yeah.
from. I don't have to.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
Yeah.
The cat's out of the bag, but it's like it's not completely out of the
I
bag.
could play a game here.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to hear what you guys think
That
is
would be
happening.
interesting.
And-
Gotcha,
no,
Scott. Go ahead. You start. You can start. I'll follow up. We'll
With
finish.
with
What have
the
we
lift?
heard? What have we heard in the public sphere
Well,
about
I've heard,
a lift park?
I've heard Bella Vista, but that makes 0 sense. And then Mount Magazine is kind of what makes sense. So there's been a lot of back and forth. Like, it's in Bella Vista, and it's like, well, they're stored there, but I don't think that it makes any sense to put anything with a chairlift there.
And-
then Mount Magazine like totally makes sense. So
So and then so magazine makes a lot of sense because it's one of the largest elevation
Yeah.
that
It's over 2,100
that's
feet.
in the proximity
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Bentonville. And I thought that some oh goodness, the surveyors have already went through Mount Magazine for this purpose. And that's just spreading around the water cooler here.
that's fair enough.
But regardless, I think
Can I
what
tell you something?
we're looking at. Tell me anything.
You're wrong.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
good.
okay.
It's better to be told that we're wrong, and so we know to alleviate the thought. But a bike.
Don't alleviate
Yeah,
the
don't
thought.
alleviate.
No. That's what I mean. Is that we're not looking at there not being a. There's going to be a lift part here.
Yep. Eventually.
Yeah, eventually, and that
I can confirm that.
the lift material, the lift parts are in Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
And that the plans are set for it. So it's like it's defined that it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yes-ish.
Yes,
There you can't. This is just my.
there's a difference between it's going to happen and where it's going to happen.
Sure,
There's like
sure,
a big-
but I mean,
Ding, 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 ding.
but
Yeah.
but I mean
Yeah.
like any investment, you can't just like invest in something and then it just not happen. Like something has to follow. If say plans didn't go through the way that you'd hope, then there'd have to be like a plan B.
I think you might be underestimating how wealthy the people are that are involved.
Well, I'm sure
Yeah.
they can buy
Can
what
buy
they want.
buy your way
Yeah,
into
totally.
anything and everything.
And I don't mean that negatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My job is directly because of.
Yeah.
No, I'm fully aware that we benefit off of.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
Good.
I'm in. I'm in. Yeah.
Um,
I'll be at the.
I
I know the Walmart
I can
chant.
tell you.
I actually know the Walmart
I
chant.
can tell you certain parts of this because it's public information.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know if you've followed any what's going on with like in the national forest world, but if there's a proposal for any usage of national forest, it has to go through public survey because it's national parks land.
Yeah.
And then it has to pass through NEPA process, which is basically the EPA's National Forest Service division that determines whether or not what you are proposing is feasible for the space that it's going to occupy.
Okay. So I can insert a part. So I was as you guys came in, you saw my Volkswagen project car that I've been working on.
Yeah.
And I happened to go look for some parts in the deep woods of Kingston, Arkansas. And as I was out there, this is actually, it's closing of now, but there is a huge Volkswagen graveyard in Kingston, Arkansas. It is like
Random.
20 acres of packed Volkswagens of
What?
all
20 acres?
year models.
That's
It's
so
insane.
random. That's
It's
so cool.
insane. And it's
Weirdly enough, there's also a Miata guy out that way.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, he's got
There would
like-
be a Miata
Oh, yeah.
guy.
He's a very strange fella.
That's fun. I like that.
But I like him.
I like that. So we were out there, and I was getting some parts for the car, and he was like, "Hey, man, I actually got to get out of here because we got a meeting, a town hall meeting, and we're trying to these guys, these big city folk coming in here trying to tell us that they're gonna change the classification of certain areas
Yeah.
of the buffalo."
Yeah.
Now, I can't say that is it.
That's also not it.
That's
not
good.
it.
Good.
That's
Thanks.
also not it.
Good guess though.
That is a
Okay.
good guess.
Yeah.
But I do know that has something to do with the classifications they're trying to do for the buffalo,
That's a separate
and
project
for
us.
like the water
Yeah.
access.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, Ponca, has good elevation.
Oh yeah, it's got
Yeah.
amazing elevation.
It's at 12.5.
Around 1300.
1300,
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah, but not enough that would warrant a lift.
Oh, I also disagree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How
Okay.
tall?
So
Highlands.
Highlands is 570 foot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thunder Mountain's 1,000
Yeah.
foot.
Well, yeah. What did we
Little
talk?
under.
What was Spider Mountain's
360.
like?
Yeah.
360. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
The really big bike parks across the country are 2 to 3,000 foot of vert.
Yeah.
But dude,
I guess that's what I was
you ain't gonna
comparing
have
to.
a beginner go to the top of that and get down.
Right.
Like,
Well-
if you're committed to putting beginners up there, you're gonna have a 7-mile long
Yeah.
green downhill trail.
Well, it was
That's-
even like what I was talking about when we were at Snow Summit. Like we'd get like halfway through, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh,
Exactly.
is this
Well,
in the bottom?
and again, learning from the ski industry, like,
Yeah.
if you learned anything, you got to have really good greens because that's where
That's where you get the
if you're
love.
looking at a pyramid of people,
The most of them
core
are down
riders
there.
are up here at the tippy
Mhm.
top, but they're like 10% of revenue.
Hate to
You know,
say
you're
it, but they're
talking-
also not the buyers either.
Exactly.
So-
The people who are new to it are buying bikes, they're buying gear, they're buying
right.
rentals, they're buying.
Which helps build the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
Of it.
Money, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm pretty indifferent at this point because it's just part of our world.
Yeah.
It has to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And sending beginners up 2,000 foot of vert trail or bike parks is not a way to be successful.
Yeah.
However, it's nice when you can have like a 500 foot lift and a
Oh,
1,000
right,
or
right.
1,500 foot
Yeah,
lift.
yeah.
But what's going to happen in Arkansas is not that.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you this because, again, it's public information.
Yeah.
It's on National Forest website.
Okay.
There is proposal for as many as 5 chairlifts in Mena.
Oh, okay. Separate?
Separate from what?
Separate from each other, like
All within
or like a
space.
part of
Yeah.
a part of a bike park.
Are you familiar with Mena at all, or what like the town and how it interacts with the topography around it?
I can't say.
Okay.
I can't say.
So
yeah.
Mena sits on the south side of.
This is the Washita.
It is in the Washitas,
Yeah. Okay.
but it's on its own kind of like band of peaks,
Mm-hmm.
and they're around. They hover between 1,000 and 1,300 foot as well,
Mm.
and it's south facing, and not east west and not
Mhm.
north.
Yeah.
It's like a true south facing mountain. And the south side of the mountain is literally connected to the north side of the town Mena.
Oh, okay.
And so if you're talking about what makes sense from a business standpoint,
Yeah.
one, there's a town with an infrastructure already set up.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they've got a mountain that's all national forest land and could be potentially solicited for use for bike parks. So last year, or maybe it was earlier this year sometime, the National Forest Service put out a public survey to probe the interest in a potential bike park in that area. And what that looks like long term, it's got to go, like I said, it's got to go through NEPA process, which is, it's going to take 18 months minimum to do that.
Okay.
And we don't know what they'll find.
Yep.
And you're at the mercy of that process. And in some capacity, time and money can sometimes fix and mitigate those things, because you can solve the problems that they are worried about. Because if you do more research into the site, you can figure out how to avoid the things that are. But again, it's a process. It's a long deal sometimes when you get national government involved with it.
Right.
But it is possible. Look at ski resorts.
Yep.
They're all on national forest land. Most of them, especially Summit County stuff like Keystone, Breckenridge, A Basin. Those are all on national forest land, so it is possible.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I think most of them in California are too.
Okay.
Like, Sierra Mountains and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's pretty true.
So does that mean that, because right now, like Trailblazers, like I know, a lot of the autonomy comes from I would say the love of mountain biking or in Northwest Arkansas. So like Northwest Arkansas is really heavy in it, but like, as I was stating, I went to Kingston, and like, even just like canoes was like, no. But I mean, like, there's a more of a acceptance around here for Trailblazers to come in and do whatever you want, because it's like it's for the
I think it's always going to be a balancing act. Not everything that works in Bentonville should be done somewhere else just because it was done there. I'm also I'm a pretty big environmentalist. And they have to work together.
Yeah. Because
Buffalo is a special place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that I think they were concerned about, was that, like, the moment that you start opening it up to, air quotes, corporation, you're introducing urban sprawl.
Yep.
And I mean, you're gonna see that. And I mean, like you said, like if you're talking about Mena and it's a town, they're like, urban sprawl sounds great. Like that would actually help us.
Especially Arkansas is not a particularly economically sound state, other than Benton and Washington County.
And then when we say that, like, hey, we have this unique thing that we can introduce that will actually bring revenue,
tens of millions of dollars in revenue potentially.
Then so local municipalities will at least be swayed towards persuasion, instead of just being like, I don't know what a mountain bike is, I don't know what a skateboard is.
He knows the mayor.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got a friend I served with that's
right.
his brother-in-law. His
Oh,
brother,
okay.
and
Gotcha.
Super stoked on everything.
They're
going
fired
on.
up.
They like it.
Yeah.
They like it because it's new.
And that's kind of that's what has to happen.
Sure.
You can't have it and have everybody angry. I mean, it's been done before with ski resorts because they're just blinded by money. But I don't think that's the goal. I do believe that those who are funding it actually want the town that it's going to be in
to be helped.
And want them to want it, at least in some capacity. Not everybody has to want it. That's unrealistic.
It's not something where you're like, I have like a microchip factory and I'm trying to convince this town to accept my microchip factory. This is something that's like generally has a net positive.
Yeah.
Yep.
And on top of that, the forest is generally going to stay in place.
True.
You're not going to doze the whole
I mean,
thing.
you're not. Yeah, when you're saying you're going to build a mountain bike, infrastructure inside of a national park, you're actually saying like we're going to help use it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And access it more.
Yeah.
Than if say we're going to like put a road through it.
Right. Yep.
So.
Yep.
I don't know that for certain, but.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great. It doesn't have to be.
Try to speak as like like if I were the mayor of Mina, like hey, put no dang road through my mountain.
Another important piece of this that is also very much public information is Interstate 49 is effectively going to drive right by Mina once it's connected from Fort Smith down to Jonesboro. That's going to be a north-south thoroughfare from effectively the Canada border all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, and so that's one of those big interstate projects that's been kind of lingering for years now.
Right.
But since Joe Biden came into office and he signed that big bill that basically was the infrastructure bill, it is going to happen. Again, that's a years down the road thing because it's like in really horrible terrain.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's backwoods.
Yeah, I mean
it's backwoods.
Mina's in the mountains.
So
you're putting a highway through valleys and not and avoiding big mountains. So,
but at the same time, that's where the good mountain biking happens.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see that, like, because I think if anybody really knows like mountain bike, desire, it's like where can we have like high descent, be in the woods,
and it's important to remember that not everyone is like that.
Yeah, okay.
There's a lot of mountain bikers who like cross country.
Fair point.
Gravel really bleeds closely into mountain biking.
Sure.
And there's just, I think there's room for all of it. But
listen,
the listeners here.
Go downhill.
That's right. That's right. Okay, we're in good company. We're in good company. We
all just want to go.
We go downhill.
That's right.
And I mean, like other things too. I mean, like I think that for us, like, speaking as Arkansas, like we look at like the shred side of things, so like we're always just trying to see like, what can be built that will actually help and be again a net positive for an area, but also can I get some air? Like that I think is an important thing because like if you look at people who are in the I would say there's the advocacy side of things, but then there's also like the, I would say like the user group highlights. I don't want to say stars, but I mean like we'll say the shredders around here, right? Yeah. Like we need the shredders acceptance.
100%.
Like we need them to be on board with all of this so that they shred there, and somebody is coming around, they're like, man, did you see that? The dude just shredded that thing. And like that all helps this thing be
dude, that's like how action sports work. It's like 99% of riders don't ever aspire or ever get to the ability level of like the pros. But when they see the pros do cool stuff. They're like, oh, I want to go do that cool stuff too.
Right. I think a lot about Whistler and how they have that kind of like there's the village area at the bottom where like they're like all the slope style stuff happens and everybody gets their kicks and they're like, all right, cool, let's go up the mountain.
Dude, Highland Highland has this a very similar setup.
Okay.
It's just like this,
dude. It's so wild. You like pull up in the parking lot And you go to get your ticket, and you come out of the ticket booth, and you just look at the mountain, and there's just giant slope style course with huge jumps, and you're just like, yes.
I love it, dude.
This is for me.
I love that, dude. I love that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, you roll up into that spot, and you're like, wow.
That's what I'm talking
You know,
This
about.
place is made
It's
for
something
mountain
too,
bikers.
like you talking about getting the shredders on board and stuff.
Yeah.
I think something that's overlooked with specifically our area, because we get it a lot. Like we'll go, there would be a gap jump and we'll make it into a table or something like that, and we're like, you're nuking
The infamous
place.
gap
like,
to table.
I think something to remember is like we are still new, and we're like,
Sure.
like Oz Trails, like this whole network.
This
like,
is infancy.
yeah. Like so, we've been so focused on like the green rider group as
The base.
Sure.
Pin.
Yeah.
That's where we're bringing people in, right?
Yeah.
Like eventually we're gonna move in to get like gnarlier things, if you would.
Yeah.
And things
You
like
got to
that.
grow into it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of people like overlook the fact that we are still
In
new.
that stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, Kohler didn't exist 10 years ago.
Yeah.
True.
Kohler was built, like, realistically, opened its doors 4 years ago.
Less than
Isn't that
5
crazy?
years. Less than
Yeah.
5 years old.
I guess 2018 they were starting to allow people to ride there, but, like, they had their official opening in 2019,
Okay.
which is hard to believe, but it's 4 years,
Yeah. Less than
And-
5 years. That is kind of crazy to
Yeah.
think about.
And, Whistler's been around for 25.
Yeah. And for the longest time, I think Hogan's the one that told me, for the longest time, Whistler had no gap jumps anywhere for a long time on any of their flow
Oh,
trails.
okay.
Yeah.
And then eventually started.
Well, because when you're starting to talk about the whole snow park bike park dynamic, that a gap jump actually is pretty bad. Like that would be dangerous in a snow perspective if that's covered.
Yeah.
That
Sure.
you might not know that or see that, and that would be a danger zone. But now that those like a gap jump area is zoned as that, the snowboarders will be like, oh yeah, that's the slope style area. Don't just go into that.
And a lot of it has to do with how a section is being used, how an area is being used. Like Fitzgerald's an interesting one because I know you ride it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to talk about Fitzgerald. Let's go.
Like Bridges Out is. I know it's a contentious thing that the bridge is not out
Yeah.
anymore.
That's right. The bridge is in.
The
bridge is in.
The bridge is in.
However, if you look at it objectively, it's in a neighborhood full of people who don't use bikes.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And so I am glad that there's a trail with some big jumps on it there.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe it was not the best of ideas to have that there in the first place. I wish people could look at it objectively through that lens, because what happens if you're by yourself and you go hit a big gap jump and gap jump go bad?
Well, I can tell you what happens. Funny you ask. You lay there.
Yeah.
You just lay there.
Yeah.
and then you wait
and hope somebody finds you.
And fortunately enough, some average users that are just riding the green loop trail that's around there happen to see a tire sticking out of just like seeing a half curve of a stick of it. They're like, that looks wrong. And they come find me, and I go to hospital.
It was like a tombstone.
And so let's be again.
Right.
Let's try to be
it was. Somebody's dead over there.
about it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're objective about it, and you understand why you mainly see this in pay-to-play style.
Sure.
Because those individuals know what they're signing up for, and you don't always get that same level of signage or even just the number of people around to help assist in a situation, and paid medical staff.
Yeah.
Well,
ski resorts have paid medical staff. That's why you can access double black terrain.
Yep.
And you get into backcountry.
That's a good point. There shouldn't be, gap jumps in the backcountry.
Exactly. And so it's a greater conversation about set and setting and what's appropriate and what's not. And
especially when you're using public funds.
Exactly. If it's for public consumption, it changes the conversation. If you want to build a big jump in your backyard, one, do it because I want to come ride it.
I want to see it.
But two, it's different because it's for you and whoever you decide gets to use it.
Yeah. And
I want the sport of mountain biking to be pushed and to be progressed. And I want those spots to exist. Don't get me wrong, but I think the conversation has to be genuine and thought about from more than one perspective, other than just like the send it mentality.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's what professionals do. is
Yeah.
You consider more than just yourself.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you're talking about, professional trail, infrastructure,
Yeah.
we're talking about more than just stick a big jump somewhere and hope everybody likes it.
That's right.
It's more of like what's going to get people involved in it more.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
and so speaking
And
on,
guess what? That trail still got big jumps on it.
it does. Yeah. No, it does. But then, let's go into the bad things about it. It's
Yeah.
like we'll talk about like maintenance programs. So like one of the things that I know to be fact about Springdale, specifically Fitzgerald, is that they do not have a
That's
maintenance
changing.
program.
That's changing.
I would love hearing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've
But
hired,
there's been years that it hasn't been.
I know,
been
you're
like
totally
that.
right.
And
Totally right.
so like when you have something that's like, say, a big jump line,
Yeah.
it is completely useless if there is not a maintenance program built
And
around it.
Is that not another conversation about the set and setting?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Towns need to understand what they're signing up for when they're
Mhm.
building jump lines.
Sure.
Like they're not expensive on the front end in comparison to other bits and pieces of like
Yeah.
park infrastructure. They're actually quite cheap.
Mhm.
But they do require a specific amount of maintenance per
Yeah.
year
Right.
that should be done by professionals. And I don't think that's always considered on the front end, and it should be.
Mhm.
It,
That
Like
sounds like something that would happen in Clarksville.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, Clarksville has a trail now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It
but
has
there's
a-
probably going to be no maintenance.
Have you
set up
ridden 'em?
around 'em. No, I haven't. But
You were just
I
there
used to live
recently.
there, and I could see them just saying, "Here's a cool hub. See you guys."
And it's just sitting there.
I don't know who's going to maintain it or what.
Exactly.
Honestly, I
nobody's
have no
gonna,
idea.
and it's just gonna rot.
But I
Mhm.
can tell you this: Rogue did a bang up job on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Really?
Yeah. I would highly suggest making the trip down to go ride them.
Yeah, we should. Wyatt's down there.
I would
Yeah.
argue they're some of the
Hang out.
best like professionally built downhill trails I've ridden in at least in the state of Arkansas.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I guess
Yeah.
we're going.
Yeah, it's great to hear.
Yeah.
And but it does beg that question, like, sure, you're signing up for a trail in your city, but like, are you willing to
Yeah.
stick it out
Yeah.
for the long haul and
Well,
then have like a trail maintenance
There's
crew
a
and
huge difference between cutting some single track in the woods
Mhm.
or building an 8-foot wide jump line.
flow trail? Well, I mean, and then that actually like brings me back to something that you talked about earlier, that your, like, both of y'all's focus is in flow trail.
Yeah.
So
Just because of the amount of maintenance
Yeah.
and
The
the amount
amount
of
of-
flow
yeah,
trail we
that's
have.
exactly it.
that was precisely my question, because
Yeah.
it's like, it's like single track, you can cut that and it can sometimes just exist forever. I mean,
Yeah.
Especially
Hobbs
if it's being
being-
used.
Yeah.
a great example is
Yeah.
Hobbs.
Yeah, man.
It's fantastic.
Hobbs.
It's got great
It's-
trail system. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It is. And I mean, like, but then you look at something like Fitzgerald, and it's like the moment that you make a flow trail,
Yeah.
but you don't maintain it, it will soon be not a nice place.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah.
And flow trails are built with a certain speed in mind. And when you start
Mm-hmm.
moving away from where the target speed was,
Mhm.
the trail starts to work worse
And
And-
starts to be unsafe.
and
Yep.
becomes inconsistent
Mhm.
and then becomes unsafe.
Yep.
There's a
Yeah.
big project, and I don't know the details, but going on, you guys have probably seen it in Benton, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Huge amount of flow
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah. Is that
But, like-
is that MP that's over there,
I think it's-
or
I
Part
think-
of it, and
Well, I think
And PTT.
PTT is the main
Yep.
contractor and they're subbing it out. Is
Okay,
what
that's
and
right.
I don't know
understand it.
details or anything, but like
Yeah.
something Ethan and I, like over the last like couple weeks, have been asking each other is like, dude, who's gonna
maintain that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Benton,
a lot.
Arkansas, like who's
In Benton.
who?
There, I don't know the details of this either, but OORC has different fingers and branches of
Yeah.
around the state, and look, OORC guys, I get it. You don't like flow trails.
Yeah.
You don't like the popularity of this stuff, and you want it to be kind of core and
Sure.
and a little bit of like a purist side of stuff. I
Sure,
see
yeah.
and get all of that, but also too, the flow trails are what people generally gravitate towards.
Yeah, and they're a part of mountain biking now.
Sure.
They are.
Yeah. But hey, I didn't say this to just start ragging on you guys.
I love ORC. I think
Yeah.
what they do is fantastic.
Awesome stuff, man.
But my point being is that there is a clear focus on single cut, single track trail, and if we all work together, I feel like it could be a grander network. Because like we were talking about, Mina. I'm sure, like you said, it's not going to be all flow trail. There's going to be tons of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
I would imagine there's a lot of raw and gnarly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's
stuff.
gonna be. There's gonna be. So when I'm talking about Benton, I would hope that a Central Arkansas chapter would be able to hop in and
I hope so,
aid
man.
in some measure.
And I think their dirt is dramatically better than in terms of just like rock.
It looks
quality.
good. It looks good on camera. Color.
But I just hope that they understand that, like, even if you have perfect dirt,
Mm-hmm.
if it, trails like those trails, big berms, big jumps, they require reshaping with a machine at points.
Right.
I don't care if you have perfect dirt.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
If they're sitting out in the sun, there's no trees above them, and it's getting pounded on by rain, they ain't gonna stay perfect forever.
And bring a tractor in.
Exactly. And who's going to run the tractor? Who's going to be responsible? I think they've done some rock lips, but that doesn't change the same conversation because landers do the same thing.
Sure.
Yep.
They just don't affect your trajectory.
Yeah. But it does affect your landing.
And again,
it's like,
we don't know the details. They may have some crazy plan that's built out that how they're going to maintain it, but just from first observation, it's kind of like, whoa.
And I think you're kind of just like pointing out like a thing that happens with this stuff is where it looks great on paper, and then what's that going to look like afterwards, and who's maintaining it. And I mean, honestly, Fitzgerald is it's where we've seen it go wrong,
For sure.
And I mean, and I want to use that as like a tool for other people.
Well, and let's look objectively again at what works at Fitzgerald. I think the single track works most of the
best.
time.
Yeah, that's right.
And it runs really good. And it's fun. It's challenging.
Yep.
Ironically, the pieces of single track that I don't like are like the weird giant gap jumps.
Yep.
Because they're like, I don't know. I don't know where the speed comes from on it.
Why that rock booter in the middle of Best Trail is there? Like, that's so crazy.
It was probably one of those where you just kind of walk out to your machine that day and you're just like,
we're putting a jump today.
30-foot gap jump
right here.
Where you get the speed? I don't know. We're going to build it.
Pedal it in.
Just let her eat, man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Gear 12 and stay pinned.
That's for sure. Man, I really hope that Fitzgerald gets a turnaround.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for. You said that there's some plans.
No, it's
already
happening.
For maintenance.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a contracted crew that's going to be out there.
No.
I don't know that it's all signed yet, so I'm just going to keep that.
Sure.
But I know
it's in the plans.
It's in the plans to have a crew out there maintaining stuff.
Man, so good.
Yeah. Well, that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, great. I think that Fitzgerald, there's a lot of land there to work with,
and it's cool,
and it's unused. Yeah. So I mean, it's like
Speaking of, have you seen the climbing wall out there?
Oh yeah, I have.
Dude, it's gnarly.
Yes, yeah, it is gnarly.
It is so cool.
We rolled it. We rolled through.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That couple were looking for it.
Yeah, they were looking for it, and then we came through, and like I don't think that they realized that there was mountain bike trails there too, and they were like, "Excuse me," It's like, well, this is actually mountain biking. You're in our spot. But yeah, no, I actually like the idea of having these kind of multi-use areas where it's like, again, Gnarkansas, we're going to be that, multiple shred, all shred.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need more of that.
Hey, you'd be proud. Old Bob and Graham and myself been riding skateboards.
Skateboards.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen
Dude,
that.
it was like I think it was like
I can't.
13 years since I skated.
Yeah.
Some of it came back pretty easy, but my body is just like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, dude. I know it.
You're
he's
getting
old.
after
Yeah.
it though, man.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
that. I was stoked on that.
Yeah, it's
I
it's
did a kickflip the other day.
nice,
No big
nice.
deal.
I did want to say it on camera.
I don't. I even landed it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Prove it. But yeah, like the one thing I can say as like a skateboarding mountain biking skater, is that like the differences between like going sideways and then going forward is like that's like the weird change.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the one
I'd agree
weird
with that.
change.
Yeah.
Like if you were a rollerblader, it'd probably be a little easier.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
I'm not telling you to be a rollerblader or advocating
I
for
don't,
it.
I don't
Interesting.
fruit boot, bro.
That's very offensive.
Booter.
Very offensive comments.
I didn't even think about that until you said it. I've
Mhm.
never.
That's the
thought
weird
didn't
part.
Cross my mind. I think it translates okay for me because I grew up skiing
Oh yeah.
and then I
Yep.
switched to snowboarding,
Yeah.
and so it never. It felt kind of natural to
Mhm.
do both.
Mm-hmm.
That's super weird.
Yeah. Well, because like I know that I can't ski, but I can snowboard.
Oh, yeah,
like,
same, yeah.
nobody
I bet you
does
can.
this. Yeah. So
One of the cool things I thought was like with skateboarding and then transferring into mountain biking was
Yeah.
like just the being in the air.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you're still comfortable with.
There's
being
less.
in the air.
There's less fear. Yeah.
for sure.
So I actually tell a lot
Translated
of skaters that come in that like one of the things that you come in with such great benefit is that you're less afraid of the thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
Where other people get ruled by their fear and like hitting lips and stuff.
Yeah.
You will paralyze them. Whereas a skater, you're like, get up
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
you know. So and then same probably goes for general action sports in general. You
Think
know,
so.
like I mean, we talk about how like motocross dudes are just like
Yep.
come in shredding.
Yep.
We all know.
Yeah.
We all know.
There's always fear involved when you're at the wall of breaking through to the next level of
Oh, yeah.
something.
True.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
So you
True.
always got to get past that fear.
Dude, it reminds me of hitting that table at Angel Fire.
Oh, on Hippo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
was-
watched this dude like practically break his ankles the first hit.
I like mostly committed,
Uh-huh.
and I thought I had the
He
speed
was like
for it.
what,
honestly.
50 foot, 54
It's like a
feet.
little north of 50 foot,
Okay.
I think. From
Okay.
lip to
Yeah.
knuckle. And I,
Biggin.
you just have to be pinned
Mhm.
into it.
Mhm.
And having that level of commitment into a jump is on a mountain bike is scary.
But the motocross dudes that do the same
I know.
thing, they've
Exactly.
already broken through that broken
just
through the
do it.
commitment.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, that's actually like pretty chill.
Yep.
It is super interesting because as you get bigger in mountain biking,
Mhm.
and, you know, it's been a little bit since I did that, and I've ridden other jumps of
Oh,
similar
right,
size.
right.
It's fascinating knowing how easy it is
Yeah.
once you
That's right.
just hold on for dear life and go
And
for
just
it
do it.
at full pin.
Totally,
You know, if
totally.
the jump's built right, like it doesn't hurt on the back end.
Oh, dude,
You
I'm
know?
totally aware. One of my superpowers is by just watching like Red Bull Rampage before I go ride,
Yep.
and I'm just like, if they can do that, then I should be good.
Yeah.
You know, like I should have the Arkansas
that's right.
trails. I
That's
got
right.
this.
Yeah.
You know. So kids, try that. But yeah, no, I think that you know, seeing people come from other action sports into mountain biking, and especially around here too, because like that was one of the things I'd actually love to tell this story because it's super relevant to this topic of trail building and maintenance and more trails coming up. Is that I actually started riding because of the trails.
I love that.
It was because as a skater in Northwest Arkansas, I felt, and many skaters will say this too, feel really slighted by the lack of facility.
Yeah.
But the problem is that skateboarding being such a poor demographic, a lot of investment, you know, agencies of sorts, don't look at it as something that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
You know, but then, you know, as I started seeing mountain bike trails pop up, I literally said like, I want to ride that.
Yeah.
You know, like I just saw it and was like, man, I really want to go down that, or I want to hit that jump,
Yeah.
or like that looks fun, you know, and it made me want to go out to the facilities that the area was investing in. And I was like, all it takes is me to get a mountain bike, and then that stuff is free.
Yeah, dude.
Mhm.
So like that was a big motivator
Minus the
to
PR
check it
trip.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was expensive.
That's never
talking about
Yeah.
like facilities and that draw.
Yeah.
Like, so that was similar to me because I moved away for college and other things for a while, and I wasn't skateboarding. I wasn't doing anything. I was lifting. That's
But he
what I
was getting handsome.
Yeah.
Well, that
Well,
helps.
my wife and I moved back, and we moved to Bella Vista when we moved back, and I hadn't mountain biked since like high school or something like that.
Right.
And we moved to Bella Vista, and I started seeing all these trails and stuff, and it was a similar thing. I was like, dude,
Yeah, I
like,
want to shred
let's
that.
get some bikes. Like,
Yeah.
we'll try it. Like,
Well, yeah.
bought some cheap hardtails, and we're like, let's see what happens, and it ended up sticking, obviously.
Yeah.
But I say that because in Berryville, where I grew up,
Oh, okay. Yep.
I was one of the guys that petitioned for the skate park there.
Oh, yeah.
When I was growing up.
Yep.
And it was so cool because, we had our core group of skaters. It was probably like 8 of us or so.
Yeah.
And we were like, cool, we got a skate park now. Well, the best part of it was seeing the amount of people that had never skated
That wanted to
were
come ride.
starting to skate just because this little tiny I'm sure
skate
you've seen
park
it, like,
popped up.
just
That's
there,
right.
Yeah. So
Yep.
it's a similar thing. Like, and that's why I'm so stoked and I started skating again. Is because this new skate park.
The
is
new
nuts,
skate park
dude.
in Bentonville.
I'm so
yep.
pumped.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's
can't
coming.
wait
Dude.
for that.
It's
I'll
coming.
be
Can't
excited
wait.
to see what
That's
the
right.
skate scene does
Yeah.
here.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually too, like, I think that going to the meetings with California skate parks was really interesting because, as a skateboarding mountain biking skater, is that like I was ready for it to be like, yeah, it's basically a mountain bike park that's a skate park also.
Yeah.
But it was refreshing to like see that like it's going to be a skate park. It's a
Yeah.
skater's skate park. It's
Yeah.
not anything bike
Yeah.
oriented.
Specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like, because I think that's a fear, is that skaters are thinking like, yeah, they're just going to make it, a pump track.
Yeah.
No,
No,
Yeah,
the
dude.
pump track's going to be next door.
there is going to be a pump track, but it's just not the skate park,
Yeah.
because I think that's another thing, is that like you're looking at like Fort Smith, they have like their kind of like skate park area, but like a lot of it
Yeah.
is a pump track.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's I'm really looking forward to that
Same.
that
It's
gonna be so
area.
sick, man.
It's gonna be
That
fun.
Van Buren one looks cool too.
Van Buren, Van Buren,
They've got a new one?
Van Buren has a it's a Pivot Custom skate park, which is one of the arms of ARC.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, they're near done, and it's got 2 proper pools, like pool bowls, pool style bowls.
Did you guys reshare
Yep.
that today, like on your story? or
Not
something?
today.
Or was that Nick?
Nick did. Nick
I
did.
saw
Yeah,
that
because
Nick,
he lives
I'm
down
gonna
there.
look at that.
It
That
looked
sounds
cool,
dope.
and I was like, "Where is this
Mhm.
at?" Like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
legit.
it's
Like it's a
I got a
legit
day
park.
trip for us.
yeah.
We'll go down and skate the bowl.
Yep.
Go hit Clarksville.
Ooh.
We'll go down on the bikes.
Ooh.
It sounds like a great day.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sounds like so much fun.
I mean, for 2 dudes that also have not done either of those, we're also in line as well. But yeah, because like we haven't, Clarksville, that those trails. You saying that actually, like,
Dude,
I mean,
they're so fun.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fun.
We need to go.
Yeah, we got a couple buddies.
Also, if you're
Yeah.
down that way, the 2 like rake and ride trails that got built at Nebo
Oh, okay.
are a hoot. They need some catches in them, in my
Gotcha.
opinion.
Yeah.
Some just catches so you don't fall off the mountain. They're that steep.
Dang, I didn't know that.
They would speed the trails up a lot, which would be really cool.
Uh-huh.
You're in a controlled falling state a lot down one of them in particular. It's excellent.
That sounds fun. I'm dying. This is fun.
I'm having fun.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
we all sign up for it.
For sure.
We know what we're getting
Yeah,
into.
for sure.
Any new plans you guys can talk about, like slaughter pen area? Any new hubs in the making?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really any secret that Blackbird's going to get redone
Yeah.
at some point.
Mhm.
That's probably our next really big project for us internally at Trailblazers.
Huge project.
It seems like a huge project
It's a
because
huge
it's
project.
in massive disarray
Oh, it's
right
gonna-
now.
it'll
like
be a-
it's
it'll be a
it's
start-
not a trail
It's
right
a
now.
start over. and
Yeah,
re-
completely
Yeah.
started.
And that one's where the
Scott,
Big shipping container?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
shipping containers. But
Okay.
yeah, you've never
So-
been to, or did we go to it one time?
When
We
I
went
was
to it
visiting.
one time. I took you up there. I was like,
Yeah.
you got to see this, and I was like, it's total shit, but like you just got to see the vision of
Yeah.
this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who initially built that?
Rock solid.
Rock Solid. Okay. And like the features that are on it are cool, but you got to get to them.
That's
Yeah,
a good way to
that's-
describe it.
Yeah, and so if
Features
you
are
can't,
cool.
if you can't get to them, they're not cool.
I'll just say this, and I'm going to keep it as nice as possible because
Got it.
that trail is not for me.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just
That was really nice.
it
That
it
looks nice.
fundamentally doesn't work.
Yeah.
in a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
ways.
It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
It maybe another one of those that was good on paper. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But it was
looked-
also built a while ago, right? When things were kind of
sure.
Mm,
still trying to get figured out.
50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like new old. Like trail building had already been
Yeah.
established here when it got its final.
Yeah.
So
In fact, it's the second Bentonville slaughter pen downhill that has existed.
Yeah.
yeah,
There
it
was
was yeah.
a Bentonville downhill
Yeah.
or slaughter pen downhill there before,
Mm-hmm.
and it got blown up for Blackbird to get put in. So this whatever happens will be version 3 of whatever the downhill is in that space.
which
Okay.
from an investment perspective sucks. Third time's a charm, though.
We're gonna get it right this time, boss.
Well, so but then when you say we're, that's Trailblazers, right? Like are you guys
You know-
contracting that out, or like it's a big project? So I mean, like is that Trailblazers?
We have the personnel to do it. We'll have to rent equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
To make so we have lots of equipment, but we don't have anything bigger than a 4-ton on our
Okay.
in our possession.
Right.
So we'll probably
Is
use
that-
a 4-ton and like a 10-ton or
Yeah.
15-ton
Gotcha.
machine to build a trail of that scale.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a Springdale Tractor shout out, right?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Always
Hooking
hooking
us
it
up.
up.
The
Yeah.
Springdale Tractor is they're
Awesome.
one of our best, if not our best, working partner.
That's
They're
great.
Fantastic.
That's great.
Cool.
Well, so I think the big question I would imagine that the public has and it, gear like paired with mine, but like I think that overall the question has to be presented that you guys have stated that you're not a trail building company.
Yeah.
But is there a project that ever comes across your plate that you're like, we need to hire somebody else to do this
All the time.
Mhm.
All the time.
Yeah.
In fact,
What
I
what
wish-
are those criterias, or like what gets you to that?
There's more than one.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
Capacity.
Okay.
There's not enough people on Trailblazer staff to get all of
To get a.
the work done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Is it in our skill set?
Mhm.
That's an important one. I think you could make the argument that Rock Solid does some of the best rock construction maybe in the
For
world.
sure.
They
Sure.
do fantastic
Yep.
work.
Yep.
So I think lots of trail companies have things that they're good at. Trailblazers also have things that we're good at,
Mhm.
and we're equipped to do. We can make a lot of stuff work, and I think a lot of other folks can also make a lot of other things work.
Mhm.
But you gotta, ideally you stay in your lane so you can be efficient and
Provide the best
provide the best outcome.
thing
Exactly.
for what's being what the task at hand.
Yeah. So the answer
Yeah.
is we all the time.
Uh-huh.
We have tons of contractors that we use.
Okay, and you can rely on any contractor. Like you don't have
We
any
have-
partnerships or
We have certain contractors that we trust more
preferred
than others.
preferred
Yeah.
partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Partner
Preferred
contractors.
partners.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because like I guess in this I'm not saying this to sound offensive, but Blackbird does seem like a big project for the little tractors.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's and not saying just like little tractors, but like a smaller workforce
Yeah.
or like like and not even taking design out of it completely.
Yeah.
Just like, workload.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's a big
it's
project.
a big project.
Yeah.
So has there ever been, and I would imagine that there's been projects where you partner with another builder?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you work on the same trails together? Like you're like, you work on this part, I work on this part, you work on this part, I work on this part, or it's like, hey, you guys take this whole project and we'll, help supply some dirt, some rocks, some stuff,
We assist
Yeah.
in certain projects.
Mhm. But never like work in tandem.
Because it kind of gets weird when you have like
Crews.
I think we function well as individual builders within the Trailblazers because we all build like with a similar style
Okay.
to an extent.
Mhm.
And sometimes when you mix, like if you were to put me and Ethan with, two guys from Rock Solid or two guys from PTD or something on the same trail, like this feature is going to look this way, and then sometimes whatever we're working on is going to look completely different than what, and then the
Yeah.
trail just doesn't
Doesn't
jive.
flow anymore.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have
Mhm.
seen or felt maybe on some trails when you're riding down, one thing's really
Mhm.
awesome, and then you get to a spot and you're just kind of like,
What is that?
what happened?
Or it just it doesn't feel like cohesive.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, and that's
is the
kind of like
phrase.
I think why
Yeah.
the assist piece, what you're touching on, I think is kind of
Yeah.
where we stay.
Let them do
Yeah.
their thing. If you hire them to do a task, then
Yeah.
You follow their lead.
Exactly.
and-
I mean, they're
Mhm.
professionals too.
Yeah.
And that's
Right,
what.
right.
That's
Mhm.
what. When we hire somebody, we vetted and it's actually not Robbie or I doing the hiring. It would
Yeah.
be Uriah or Hogan
Yeah.
doing the
Okay.
hiring. We both are strictly our trail crew.
Yeah.
right.
So
So you guys aren't the ones that are making the
No.
decisions, but you're the ones that are more on the execution
exactly,
side of stuff.
and if I know that something's above our bandwidth, our capacity, then I would be
Mhm.
like, hey, you're Hogan, Uriah, I need help with this. Can you find a contractor
Mhm.
to handle this project?
Right.
Or they'll leave me out of it completely. Hogan
Mhm.
and Uriah will, and just and that's all. That's what they do. Because again, our primary focus is maintenance.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
that's our core work, our
Right.
core function.
Well, and that's one of the things that I think is it's like it's one of the most overlooked things, but it's one of the most needed things.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we need a trail, but once the trail's there, we really need it to stay up.
Yeah.
Like and I mean, you can rake a trail all you want, but like,
Right.
adding dirt requires a tractor
Mm.
or
100%.
time or effort.
And
You know?
we have found throughout years of doing it in our soil type, which
Mhm.
is properly fucked.
Yeah.
Really bad.
Yeah, rocky.
But we do have clay, and
Yeah.
it stacks great.
Uh-huh.
If you take the teeth of the excavator and you kind of like what
Break
we
it
call
up.
scarify just the top
Yep.
6 inches or
Yep.
so, pull the rocks out, and then put clean soil on top, you end up with kind of the best of both worlds, where you have something that's like made of concrete below it,
Mhm.
and then a riding surface that's smooth.
That's cool.
So we even have we purchased a machine attachment earlier in the year that goes on our skid steer. It's called it's technically an MB rock crusher. That's the brand is MB.
Okay.
And it's supposed to take hard materials and crush them down to 3/4 minus.
Oh, wow.
But we have so much rock quantity
It can't.
that it does some of that. But what ends up happening is it's got a hopper on top for all the dirt. And so you put the material in,
Mhm.
and it basically acts as a power sifter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we end up with tons of 3/4 minus crushed rock as angular fill and ultra clean clay
Yeah.
that comes out of the bottom.
Right.
And you actually want a binder in clay. You don't want pure clay.
because it needs something to bind to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you use an
Yep.
angular, like you could use like a crushed sandstone, a crushed limestone,
Mm-hmm.
any sort of aggregate that has an angular aspect to the way that it breaks down, and that
So it kind of Legos itself
exactly
together.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so we can sift our own material on site now. So we can take the good clay that exists in our soil, sift out the rock, and then use the rock because it's now been sifted for us, and use it as base material for a feature. So like the last berm on Wildfire at the castle
Yep.
is like 70% rock.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same with Furnace. There's
Yeah.
like 2 corners there that, like, I mean, if you were to take an excavator and just
And
dig
cut into it.
Yeah.
it would literally, you'd hit a pile of literal just rock,
Yeah.
rock.
But we took all of the natural soil that was on the site.
Yep.
Just
And-
moving it up.
Exactly.
You're
We're
just-
using it
yeah.
basically like how you do how a civil engineer would build a road. You start with the large aggregate at the bottom.
Yep.
You move to smaller aggregate, and
Yep.
then you compact it with whatever you want for the smooth surface.
Mhm.
So we are learning lessons from other industries for sure,
Yep.
and figuring out how to best utilize what we're given. Because to be honest with you, it sucks bringing in dirt.
Yeah.
Like being able to use what you have on site is clearly the ideal option, rather than
that was something that I think I was told early on, that like that tells you a lot about the trail builder if they're willing to work with what the dirt that's there is giving you.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to go through the work to get the good dirt
Yeah.
that is local.
Yeah.
You could probably, I don't say fake it, but like you can drop dirt anywhere.
And that dirt we're
100%.
using that's
Yeah.
from that area for that trail or whatever, like that dirt is going to withstand the weather the best.
Weather, yeah.
because it's
from there.
It's
yeah,
from
yeah.
there.
like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
So that's like where you saw like there was a couple of trails maybe a year or two ago that were like strictly just straight clay capped,
Mhm.
and they were constantly like this peanut butter
Constant
nasty
muck.
mess.
Yeah.
Well, we can say it because we redid it, but
Yeah.
apple dumpling,
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
It-
man.
Yep.
it had fundamental problems in certain ways and was actually really fun in other ways.
Uh-huh.
But the main number one issue with that trail, why we blew it completely to bits and started
And
over,
start over.
was because it was clay capped and it was
Yeah.
constantly a disaster. And it had like finger runnels in it all over the place, and
Yeah.
it just wouldn't stay together.
Yeah.
So
Man, there's definitely something to be said about working with local terrain.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
yeah,
you just whether or not you're like good at it as a trail builder,
yeah,
doesn't mean a lot. It actually means like, how's this trail going to end up 5 years down the road?
yeah,
Yeah.
How's it going to handle winter?
Yeah.
How's it
Yeah.
going to handle heavy rains?
Yeah.
How's it going to handle 100,000 users? You know,
Which Bentonville
we-
and Northwest Arkansas.
over 250,000 last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just over and over and
Yeah.
over.
Just getting.
Like, and
Yeah, I mean those are Whistler numbers in terms
Yeah.
of people, in terms of usage.
Yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
I'm not stating that it's the same in terms of destination or whatever. I don't. But
Yeah, but just-
usership numbers wise, they're up there with the most trafficked trails in the world.
I think that's a big thing to consider, is that it's like, you know, they're calling the tourism here,
Yeah.
and it's like we better be up to the challenge.
That's it, man.
You know, to take on the people.
Yeah.
You know, I really didn't think about that until you just said that. It's like that's a tall order. You know,
Dude,
to,
we've
to,
got-
to take that many riders on.
You know, we've got logistic problems too when it comes to like how we maintain trails,
Mm-hmm.
because Bentonville is a bike park per se,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not set up like a bike park.
No,
You know,
no.
it's
all spread out,
It's spread
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
It makes it
Yep.
logistically challenging for us because every time we need to go work on something different, we have to load up equipment, load up machinery, take fuel on site with us.
So you're
Um,
constantly strategizing
Dude, and
on
sometimes,
how
like,
to get
especially
spots.
in Bella Vista or something.
Uh-huh.
Like you may be taking a U17 little mini X down like a mile of trail just to get to the spot you have to be at. You know,
Uh-huh.
like,
Yeah.
and then like I think about Highlands. Like Highlands crew is centralized.
Yep.
They have like was there quarry on site, or it was pretty close.
It was on site.
On
It's-
site,
it-
your
on
own
their
On-site
property.
quarry. Yeah.
Like, so not taking anything away from what they do or anything, but like
Right.
just compared to what we're tasked with, like it's just a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a huge, never-ending task.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't even think about it till now, but like essentially, we're trying to run a bike park in a state, like
Yeah.
inside the state
Yep.
Inside this-
for free.
for free.
that is the
all you
one
people
thing.
out there complaining about the trails, remember.
They're
Remember,
free.
It's free.
Just like going to Sky Park, it was like $60, and it's
Yeah.
not even.
It's not even
as
close.
close to. as
Angel
good as
Fire is
Yeah.
one of my favorite places on the planet, but it was almost $90
Yeah,
a
dude.
day this year
Yeah,
for a,
it's
for a
wild.
single day pass.
Nice.
And I'm not saying it's not worth it, but boy howdy, I can roll out
Yeah.
of my bedroom
and just hit
and
it.
go ride trails for free.
Yep.
That's what I keep telling my friends in San Diego. I'm like, it's like, imagine having Sky Park be 10 times better, and it's free.
Yeah,
And you can go whenever you want.
at wherever you want.
Yeah, and there's like 10 times more trails.
Yeah, we're
It's so insane.
we're privileged, but we're also, quickly desensitized
Absolutely.
by all of this.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it's hard to be grateful when you're in the moment, but
Well, you just got to pinch yourself and realize and take a step back.
Yeah.
When in doubt, zoom out. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You just got to
For
be
sure.
like, oh, I remember why I changed my career path in my life
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in so many ways to do this, because it's what is here
Mhm.
is so unique,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's important to remember.
yeah,
And it's powerful because we get to do this paid.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
make money getting to build trails and play bikes, and not a lot of people get to do that and go home at night at the end of the
Yep.
night.
Mhm.
sure. It's all right here.
It's all right here, man.
It's all right here.
And
Yep.
I hope I don't ever become too desensitized to
Yeah.
that, because it's
Mhm.
it's awesome.
'Cause it's
so awesome.
Yeah, we're honestly,
Robbie has a trail 20 feet from his house.
Yeah. It actually goes practically through my yard.
there's people that live in other areas that are like bike lovers, and they're like, you mother.
Yeah.
What?
So every time that I see people get upset, oh man, you changed. I'm like, dude, change is inevitable, and stop complaining about free stuff. You sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
There's a difference between sounding like you're complaining and having constructive criticism. I am all for constructive
Oh, yeah.
criticism,
Yeah.
but there's a fine line, and
Yeah.
a lot of it is just whining and complaining, and I'm like, get over
Dude, and
yourself.
there's not too many billionaires in the world that are actually putting money into the community. Like you look
into
elsewhere,
the thing that
Sure.
we love
Like-
to do the most.
Right.
like it's crazy because like the amount of money they make, and you're just like, holy crap, like why does someone make that much money?
Yeah.
But the fact that they're choosing to put it into this community, I know there's
Yeah.
other communities out there like, well, we want some of that too, But
Yeah.
I'm just thankful for that, man, because
Same,
they
dude.
could have done
Anything.
anything.
Anywhere.
And this is
They-
what
And
they're
they chose
choosing to do.
Bentonville.
Yeah, they could have been, was it equestrians?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? And we could be all riding
They could
horses.
probably have some really pretty ponies.
Pretty ponies, yeah. Instead, our ponies are mountain bikes.
And they're
I-
dope.
and they're dope. It's a very dope thing.
I don't think I complain about anything. There's maybe trails that aren't for me, or I just
Yeah.
don't enjoy as much.
Mhm.
But man,
Well, we talk all the time
Mhm.
about how to improve trails, and we don't want to sound negative
Yeah.
when we're talking
Mhm.
about it, but we're tasked with maintaining and improving trails. So it's, if you hear me talking about stuff, I hope you don't ever take what I'm saying as bashing on anything that's happening around
Yeah.
here, because that's not the lens that I'm looking at it through.
Right.
I'm looking at it through the lens of, hey, this is cool, but maybe it can be better.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
And that's it. That's what it is. I'm not.
I mean, I think that's that seems to be like the I don't know, the mission statement of Trailblazers, really.
Yeah.
Right? Is
Yeah.
like you're just trying to make it better.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know?
That's right.
And I mean, in making things better, sometimes you do have to tear some stuff up.
That's right.
To
Yep.
Yeah.
to
Well,
get there.
I've said it already on this podcast, but
Mhm.
hindsight is a powerful lens to look through.
Yep.
You
Sure.
know, sometimes you build a trail in the muck, in the
Mhm.
shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you finish it, and you leave, and 8 months later it goes through a couple of seasons,
Mhm.
and it's just not what,
didn't hold up like you thought it would, or something.
or didn't ride even the
Yep.
way, didn't
Uh-huh.
hold the same speed that you
Yep.
might have thought, didn't perform the way that the trail builder might have intended. But we get to see that in real time
Mhm.
and say, that's, I see what they were going for.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can tweak like a corner,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden the trail works better.
Sure.
And
That
I'm just gonna brag on our crew because I can.
Yeah.
I think that in itself is why our crew is as good as we are.
yeah, you guys
Is
kick ass.
because I mean, we get to see that. We get to see why trails are not working, versus like just going out into a blank canvas and just building
Throwing
trail, which
something
is
there,
great,
throwing something down.
but
Yeah.
actually being able to see this stuff, dissect it, put it on paper, and figure out the flaws or the positives with it. Like that's really big for trail crew, trail builders in general. So
yeah, you guys get to come back to those trails.
That's right, and that's part of the beauty of Bentonville.
Mm-hmm.
As we maybe you don't get something that's all the way cooked, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we get to see that thing through to the end and kind of tweak and refine until we have something that's like super enjoyable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Fireline is like the greatest example of that.
Sure.
Because it started out as a trail that was designed by IMBA, and things happened. It got built. It ran really weird in its first iterations. It was pedally as hell, but was a jump line, but was like halfway committed to being a jump line, but also didn't really fulfill the same checklist items that I would for like a bike park flow trail. But it's also like 3/4 of a mile long, so it's a big thing. So then years go by, I had a couple of iterations that got maybe marginally better, and then in 2020 Trailblazers came in and we like made major changes.
Yeah.
We like
which is what is really got it to where it is today.
Yeah.
That's right.
Because those major
And
changes
now
made it to what
we've handed it off to the crew
To
at
Kohler.
and
Yeah.
they are doing a bang up job on it. They're doing so good.
Logan said we got to check it out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say shout out to Nate and Logan.
They're killing it
doing
out
work.
there, man. They're killing it.
Doing
Like,
work.
They're taking something that has been now fully baked.
Yes.
And they're like putting icing on it.
And I mean,
it's awesome.
And dude, like honestly, like we're at our 2-hour mark, and I want to wrap on the most positive thing I can possibly think, which is like we're so thankful to have people like y'all
I appreciate
here.
that.
Yeah,
100%.
thanks, man.
That's
cool.
Because I can if we had all this and didn't have somebody to help keep it up and rethink the already great ideas to make them better, it's like this could all just fall away.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Dude, and it requires a certain personality type who is stoked about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And my crew is fired up.
They
love it.
Sick.
They love bikes. They love being outside. They love this town. They love what this place is, and it's unique.
Yeah.
And it's actually contagious. Like it's.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we definitely see. I mean, I literally. We got a comment on here that says, "Listening to this podcast makes me want to start mountain biking."
Hell yeah,
that's what I'm talking
like
about, man.
That is, high fives on that one, man. Because it's like this, it like you said it, it's infectious.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
it is.
And when you start to, when you get that needle drip, that first little taste of it, you get that little taste of it, you're hooked, and you're like, well, I guess I'm spending as much as I'd spend on a car previously on a bike.
I gotta be clear here. My bike costs more than my car.
Yeah. You're the quintessential mountain biker. Perfect.
I've got a lot of money invested in this.
That's right.
He came to me 3 years ago and said, "You got to get a mountain bike. You're gonna love it." And I did it, and I've been hooked ever since. That's all I think about every weekend. Where are we riding? Where are we riding?
Yep. And we're in the Mecca for it.
Yeah, dude.
No
better place to be.
Couldn't be better.
No,
so,
not at all.
All right, let's wrap here. Any closing thoughts? You guys got anything anybody you want to shout out? You did some cool shout outs already, so
man. One last shout out because I have to. The Dirt Therapy Project.
Definitely.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I run the Arkansas chapter here with a good buddy of mine, David. I just want to let everyone know, if you have a veteran friend, family member, or anything, they're interested, we have a Facebook page. Go look us up. I do have extra bikes, so even if they don't have a bike or anything, like, it's fair game for them to come, like, try it out, do whatever. So it's been a big part of my life, helping me get through my issues and stuff. So just if anybody's looking for a good time, a veteran or anything like that, like, come look us up. So.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Very cool.
I would also give a shout out to Travis Greenlee for giving me a shout, or for giving me a chance when I first started trail building.
Okay.
Kind of changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Started as a young fledgling trail builder that's now turned into running the show.
That's right, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely
Very
Brandon
cool.
RC.
Yeah, Brandon. For sure.
Hogan and Uriah at the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. They're legit.
Stoked.
Right on. Hell yeah.
Man, major thanks to
and the rest of the crew. My crew is amazing.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, because I mean, you said how many people are on your
It's
crew?
13 total.
13 total?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, dude, shout outs to all of them.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
Very-
Awesome.
Very cool episode. And yeah, if you guys are interested, check out Dirt Therapy. Get on NWA Trailblazers. Sorry,
Trailblazers,
proper,
yeah.
proper. And yeah, see more trail building.
Yeah, let's
Hell
ride
yeah.
some bikes, man.
Awesome.
That's what I'm
Let's do
talking
that.
about.
Yep. See y'all.
Okay, see y'all.
Peace.
Yeah.